What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever, period. Who? I'm your host, Pharaoh. We're joined by our wonderful host, Lee. Lee, baby, how are you feeling about Love is Blind Season 8, honey?
Girl. I mean, the comments are saying it best.
What they saying?
Charming Sir Nick says, I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch y'all live, but let me be the first to say that this season is weak and very unseasoned.
I have a lot.
Girl, let's look up the black population in Minneapolis. This where they at, right?
Streets said yes. Go ahead, look it up, because I actually saw a tweet and the streets was from somebody in Minneapolis, and they were like, Minneapolis is actually very diverse. So I'm confused at the cast. So I am very interested to know the diversity ratio in Minneapolis.
Oh, it says out of 2022, there are 78,427 people in Minneapolis. Okay. So I feel like we can estimate that's probably up to 80,000 now.
Around 80,000.
And at that time in 2022, Minnesotians, Minneapolis, they in Minnesota? Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what Minneapolis is.
It says Black or African American, which is about 18.4% of the city's population. So what's like?
That's roughly,
let's round. So what is 20% of 80,000?
20 over 80 reduces to 1 over 4. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's a fourth of the population.
Girl, I need a number. I hate when you do that. I don't understand that.
You need a number.
I'm not good at math. When you say a fourth of something, I can't conceptualize that.
So if it's me, you, and 2 other people, one of them black and the other
a number.
I can't say it. What do you mean a number?
What is 80%? I mean, what is 20%?
20,000.
80,000. 20,000?
Yeah.
You had to look at the comments for the answer?
No, they didn't say that in the comments.
I thought you was Googling. So you saw I looked.
Oh, you're mad because you don't know math.
I mean, you didn't know at first, so you say you didn't have a number. Now you have a number. So basically, it's 20,000 black people in Minneapolis.
Yes,
and I could tell.
Mm-hmm. Now the cast is giving white. I don't know about the other races. We know there's 20,000 black people. I'm assuming there's other races there too. I really don't understand what happened with this casting, especially because it is called Love is Blind. So when I hear the concept, I'm like, they could definitely get anybody in the world.
Love is Blind.
This is the show where you could get diversity and you won't even get as much backlash, because the girls do hate diversity. But this is a show where you could do it without the backlash, because that's the whole concept of the show, yet they refuse to do it. This season has started off so boring because I don't even know who the fuck is talking, because everybody is white and dirty blonde.
It's no shade.
You think it was dirty blonde?
All the girls
is blonde.
All the girls is blonde. All the men have like the same like kind of structure of face with the same haircut. Like, girl, literally by episode 6, I was still Googling. Okay, which one is okay? That's
past photos pulled.
Okay,
up.
that's out. Okay, that is like, girl, and it's like the only black people we do get. The one black couple we get passes the the brown paper bag test.
Does.
Like, I'm sick. Like, I just feel like, damn, like, was y'all not trying to get any of the blacks up in there? And I remember they kept showing the black man in the men's quarters. Nobody wanted him. Like, damn, they probably didn't. They heard that black voice and was like, no.
And look, what I did was I pulled up the motherfucking cast, because this cast is giving ridiculous. So actually, let's look into what this cast fully is, because we only see the select few who find a match. But I'll pull up the whole thing because we need to discuss. They separate the girls and the boys. So we're going to get the girls first.
Okay, you in Minneapolis? Kayla says there's a huge Asian, Somali, Mexican, and Native American population as well. They didn't do the work.
So look at this cast, right? We do have around 4.
Wow, it was more
5. We have around 4 or 5 black women. We have maybe 1 or 2 Asian, and then everybody else is white, right? So they definitely did have some black women there. They clearly just weren't finding the matches.
But this is what I was saying to you on the phone, though. Like, most reality shows, they will cater to the white audience more by casting more white people. Like, even with the diversity rule implemented in many of medias, they still prioritize the white contestants. And I do feel like it's because they feel like that is what the general audience will be more accustomed to. But in situations like this, like when you fill the room with one type of archetype of person, it's like it doesn't really allow for any diversity in the relationships. That's why I feel like it started off really slow and it turned a lot of people off. But
Yeah.
also in general, it's like I feel like because even though this is called Love is Blind, people are still very shallow. Like while I would love for them to cast plus size people, short people, tall people, people with disability, all type of stuff, like they would not have as many marriages as they do now. Like I
Mhm.
think that they want to get as many marriages that they can cover or like relationships that they can cover. But if you actually put real diversity in there, they are not going to leave with people. I do not think
Mhm.
like we will get a lot of engagements where they're like, oh, that's not like
Yeah.
because even with this experiment, there you could tell like they're very shallow with certain things of what they want.
Because the truth is, love is not blind. But I feel like if that's what they're gonna call their show and they're gonna frame their show around, then they should get more diverse people. Like I'm looking at this cast and I'm like, damn. Of these women, nobody is under. I mean, over 200 pounds. Like it's like no type of diversity, body type wise. There's barely diversity with the race at all. It's actually ridiculous what is happening. I feel like they should get people with disabilities. There should be people who are small people. There should be people who are bigger. There should be people who are smaller. It's like everyone is just average. Period. Like all the white women look the same to me. No, hey, then they have other black women, but even the black women, they're it at weight. That's the average class. They're conventionally attractive. No one has anything going on. There's no deformities. I'm thinking there should be somebody who was a burn victim. There should be somebody with one arm. There should be somebody who's a little bit tall. There should be an Amazonian ass girl in here. There should be a really, really short girl in here. There should be some thick girls
And
in
they're
here.
not gonna
It's like
and they're
they
not
don't
gonna
have
do that
nothing.
because that's the thing. Because it's like, especially with
Nothing.
a lot of men and who they want, I think it could be shallow. Oh no, women too. Women can be very shallow as well. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna put that on any person actually. But in general, people are very shallow. That's the
Yeah.
point.
It
People
is. People
people
are.
people are very shallow. They're not going to accept those people. They're not gonna do
Yeah.
it. They're
Then
not gonna
don't
do it.
call it Love is Blind.
I mean, that's the show,
Just
girl.
call it love.
Honestly, though, I said this
Love
on
of the
the. I
pods.
said
Like
this. I said this last season when we covered this. Like this show, they're not actually trying to create successful couples. The fucking
mhm.
experiment in the pause is like fucking 10 days. Bitches is getting engaged and saying "I love you" within 10 days. But this is not real life. So I feel like, of course, it's not really what the experiment is supposed to be because they don't care about that. They're just trying to get as many matches as possible to show how cracked these people can be in this little amount of time.
But that's my thing. I feel like it would have been a more entertaining show if there was someone who was talking to someone who they didn't like what they look like. The most entertaining moment of last season was when they was walking out and oh girl did not like what homeboy looked like. What was that mean girl? She was so mean and bitchy the
But
whole time.
also,
Her and Nick.
oh yeah, what was
That
her
was
name?
I forgot her name, but that was the most entertaining moment of that
Why
show.
do I remember Nick and not her name? Nick.
Yeah.
Nick, you need to be a man. You need to be a man, Nick.
What is her
Brittany?
name? No, not Brittany. Can't remember. But
Yeah.
Hannah. It was Hannah.
Thank you,
But Hannah and
Keely.
Nick
Thank
were
you,
the most
Keely.
entertaining part of that because they didn't like Hannah didn't like what he looked like.
But also, and that's the thing, in that situation, I feel like they still both were, I think,
Average.
to a
I
level of
agree.
like people will find them attractive. Like I feel like, especially being a plus size person watching it, I would hate to see so many plus size people get denied just because they're fat, or like
Mhm.
let's say like the burn victim, like you mentioned, like realistically, especially if she doesn't mention it for whatever reason. It's
Mhm.
like when people see her, they're not. Most people are just not going to want to deal with it, and some people may even pretend like they'll deal with it just to break up with them like 2 or 3 days later. Like I feel like
That's
that
true.
is also going to be an issue because, like, I feel like once you fit into one of those categories that's not conventionally attractive, you really realize how many people care about those things. So, like,
Yeah.
if they were to put all of those people in a show like this, it's just simply not going to work.
But it would I think it could work
You would
if
have to cast other like they would have to.
that's
do
what I'm saying.
they have to do a-
Everyone should be
But
diverse.
no, it's still. But that's the thing. Still, like there are fat people who don't want other fat people.
That's
There
true.
are burn victims that do not want that. There are short people who want tall people. Like you would have to do a cast specifically for that. Like there has to be a plus size cast. There has to be a short person cast. There has to be
Mhm.
like that's why they do the different versions like Habibi, Nigeria, because you have
Mhm.
to put the minority groups together basically to actually get something out of it. Once you mix so many people, they don't. It doesn't work really.
Mhm. I want to see it. Honestly, because even the problems it could cause, the conversations it could cause, because even this season we did get a really, I feel, important conversation because of disagreements with politics, with important topics like that. I just feel like it would make the show more endearing for me. This was boring. The first 3, 4, 5 episodes, I was like, I'm not gagging. It got better
I
over
will
time,
say if
but
you
I
if
wasn't
you
gagging.
tuned out, I would say at least watch 3, 4. I mean, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, I
I would
will
say
agree.
watch 4, 5, and 6. It gets really better, or at least skip through the little small moments. Like once you get to the drama, because I feel like the preview for the next drop was really giving y'all.
I
Like
agree.
I feel like by the end of it, it's gonna be some nasty drama. Like I'm kind of excited because I think that these people don't really like each other for real.
Ooh, Chanel in the chat says Love is Blind Brazil did have a plus size contestant, and the guy left her after the reveal.
And
That's very
I don't
sad.
want to see that. And also, it's not even
That is
that
very
I don't want
sad.
to see that. Imagine them experiencing that. Like
Yeah.
we already experienced that in the real life. We come into an experiment where it's not supposed to matter, and it matters. So I just feel like I definitely get what you're saying. And in a perfect world, that would happen, but we don't live in a perfect world
At all. And then we see there's like 6'5" black women here, only one black match. But I'm gonna show you why. Because no shade. Who of the men?
Did they only have 2 black men?
The diversity
Oh,
for the men is even
where
is
was
even
he
worse.
at? Where was he at? The one in green. What is this? He is cute. I didn't even see him on the screen.
He didn't get no matches.
Oh, that one in the back left, the tall one. He kind of doing it for me.
Yeah, he was cute. I saw him on the first episode.
I'm not gonna lie, it's Black History Month. It is Black History Month, but for some reason, and maybe because I had no one else to look at, Ben, Mason, and who else was it?
I hope just them two. I wasn't gagging for you.
Yeah, Ben and Mason was really doing it for me. Alex a little bit, but that's all I'm gonna say on that topic.
Yeah, just stop there. Whew, I wasn't gagging, but no, I think even though the women had a little more diversity, the men didn't at all. It's literally only 3 POC and everybody else is white, and that is crazy. So of course the black women weren't gonna get any matches because there was only 3 options for the black men.
Also, I just feel like as casting, like, okay, I don't know what credentials you need. I don't know what degree or certificate you need to become a casting director, but I would assume you should understand human nature and how, like humans interact with each other.
Right.
So it's like, this is a show where traditionally the men are going to propose. They have to choose them, basically.
Yeah.
So why would you cast no diversity with the men and expect them to get with a black woman? Like that just doesn't naturally. It doesn't always happen. Of course, it can happen, but it's not gonna happen at average. Like it's just like on average, it's probably not gonna happen, especially in Minneapolis.
And that's the thing with the discussion we're having, they could at least have racial diversity. Because I do get what you're saying about how unfortunate it would be for some of the different body types and the disabilities. But
it would be
even racial diversity, they didn't have.
It would literally be the same race.
And that's the thing. Last season, we had a situation with that, but they're the ones who are still together. Taylor and Garrett.
Let's be real. It's a difference between being Asian and black. If a man thinks he's talking to a white woman and he comes out and she's black, he's gonna have a problem with that.
Right, but racial diversity is more than just being black. That's the issue because they do have black people here. But they could have had more Asian men, they could have had more Asian women, they could have had East Asian men, they could have had East Asian women, etc. Something, I just don't get it. It makes no sense. Or they should just do full white Love is Blind and wrap it up.
Well, no one wants to see
because
that.
all 5 of them black women who was there, only one of the black women got with somebody. And it's like, why didn't you have diversity on the other side? Why didn't you have, it just doesn't make sense. It truly doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense.
It does
either do diversity or don't do diversity.
It does, girl. Like I just feel like none of this is shocking to me. This is the society we live in, and maybe because I am fat, I understand. Like this is the society we live in. Like this is just not going to happen.
I'm not surprised. They shouldn't.
And the thing is, literally, even if you do what you're saying that they should do, they would still reject each other. Because, like I said, people in these groups don't want each other.
That is true.
You know how many men date outside of their race? Every like there's a lot. Women who date outside of their race, like
but they do. People do date outside of their race.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that most people would still get rejected in those things. Like I don't like I all I'm saying is this is society. Like this is what happens.
It is. This is what happens. It really is. But I just feel like then what's the point of
Like
the
even
show? Like I don't get the point
even
of the
like think
show.
about Big Brother. Like once they start putting more diversity in there, that's why we saw like some really, really strong, like I feel like racial tensions a little bit. Like it's like crazy that even with diversity, you still get racial tension. It's like because it's the society we live in.
Yeah, I don't get the point of this show having that. If we were talking about Love Island, I wouldn't even be having this conversation for so long. The show is called Love is Blind. I feel like why even have this show if not love being blind?
But like I said, I'm explaining the reason. They need matches.
But it's like, don't call it Love is Blind. Don't be Love is Blind.
Okay.
Be something else. It should just be a totally different concept. Love in the Pods. Like anything, love. Like it could be literally anything. Calling it Love is Blind is silly when this is a cast. Love is not blind. Why even call it that? Why even brand it as that? Why even talk about like that's what the show we're talking about Love is Blind. So that's why I'm discussing love being blind. I'm not just talking about it to talk about it. This is not blind. This is very visible. But hey, we move.
It's quite
you're right, because you are right. There's not much to really. They're not going to do it. They clearly know love isn't blind. We know love isn't blind. They're just calling the show that just to call it that. And that's the issue. And I feel like that's the issue. It's problematic to me, honestly, to like advertise it as this thing and then be so undiverse with the cast. That's like, whoa, you're lying straight to my face. Don't do that. But
But girl, let's move on because the girls hate when we just complain about production and then don't talk about the show. But apparently we just complain so much. Sorry that all of these shows have holes in them. You see, we didn't complain about Jersey Shore once. There was nothing to complain about. Good TV. The fuck?
Child, let's get into these motherfucking couples. Child. Now, I want to say who.
Girl.
Actually, I will say who. I don't know who these people are. Neither do they don't know who they are either. They don't know each other at all. There was a clip of Next Drop.
Real Asia. I love all the complaining.
Thank you. There was a clip of Next Drop, and they're finding shit about each other at the damn getaway.
Yeah, like he mentioned at the getaway that he has OCD, and it's like, well, shouldn't you have mentioned that in the 2 days you knew her?
The 2 days. They got married. They got engaged at the end of episode 2. Which is like what, 6 days being there?
What? Girl, can't be 6 days because I don't know who it was. Was it? Damn, the fuck? What are their names? David. I think he mentioned. Oh, in the span of 10 days, I've known you. And that was on the damn near last episode.
You're right.
So I feel like day 2, that gotta be probably like. Well, okay, wait.
That's probably 2 days.
I'm curious because they said Happy Valentine's Day around episode 5. So like, did they start on February 1st? I don't know. It definitely wasn't that long. If by the 6th episode it was only 10 days.
So this was probably like 2 or 3 days. 2 days probably. And Joey and Monica bonded over dancing. And that's it, actually. And then he proposed to her. And I hate to be mean. No, I don't. They're both dumb as fuck. Because no way you thought anything of this at all. I don't even understand why they thought that they could move forward in this situation. And what scares me about this show is no matter how much we know this shit ain't real, I think they think it's real. I think Joey and Monica were genuinely excited when he proposed to her on day 2. I think they were genuinely feeling a bond when they sat there and danced through a wall. I'm actually truly afraid. They didn't do shit. The chat saying they think maybe they got engaged by day 4 or 5.
Well, apparently, Lindsay says they all proposed on the same day. I guess they just show them differently. I guess that could make sense as well. Let me Google it.
But my thing is, y'all didn't have any conversations about.
Look. It's edited in a way where people don't know this, but people who have done the show are aware that there's actually a proposal day and then a reveal day. So basically, this could be, but that's thing is still only like fucking 10 days. But this is day 8, but we don't see any of the other dates because they're probably irrelevant as hell.
Got you. So this is my thing. That's even worse. Actually,
Yeah,
that means y'all were there for 10 days, and the only thing y'all bonded over was dancing, because they show when there's every important conversation I feel that had, most of them get shown because we've seen it with every single other couple, an important conversation. They didn't have
That is actually very
any
interesting.
of those.
Why are the pods only 10 days? Like, I know we talked about that last season, but that is insane to me. And that really, like, it makes me just think, like, I love you? Like, the I love yous? Like
none of
maybe
this is
I gotta
true.
be in the experience, because
I think because once again, it's almost like, how did Bailey and Swaggy get married after 2 months, two weeks, but they're still married to this day.
Yeah.
And same with Taylor and Garrett. So it's like,
I guess they're living in these, like, secluded area, yeah.
no phones, no outside contact, and they're always going on dates, but it's still different than Big Brother. It's even different than Big Brother. In Big Brother, you're with the person, you're conversating with them 24/7. These are just dates, right? So even this is still worse than that. And I just feel like it should be 2 weeks. It should really be like 3 weeks or more.
At least. And I also feel like that would make the pod part, because in 10 days, I can see how you don't get much footage, because the first few days they're getting to know each other, and then by day 8, 9, they're getting fucking proposed to. It's like, how much can truly be shared within that time?
Yeah.
If you stretch it out, I feel like all of these episodes could have been way more interesting, because there would be more content. But once again, like, this show is set up to try to create as much drama as possible. They want it to be 10 days. They want them to not fully talk and to have all of these secrets and shit like that. Like this show is sick. The show is actually sick in itself.
Lindy in the chat says they have multiple 2+ hour dates every day. Ooh. Chanel says they talk multiple hours every day. It's kind of like BD, just without seeing each other. So
okay. Because what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's literally what the show. They don't have any.
So is it like free range? Like, I can wake up at 6 a.m. and be like, let me go to the room and see if she up, or like, do I have to check in with the producer and say we're meeting at this time?
It's scheduled, because someone walked in and they were like, I knew I had a date this morning, but I didn't know it was you. I was glad it was you. So
they anonymously schedule the dates, like, oh, you have a date today at 8 a.m.
Or maybe they have to agree to reschedule. Like, maybe after the first one, you give them a list of who you want another date with, and then they just, oh, these are the 3 people you said you want another date with. This is at 2, this is at 3. Maybe it's like that. Girl, I don't know. But I guess that's all they have to do. And I will say, because I started thinking, I was like, okay, the last person I really talked to heavily and I started having a relationship with, we talked for like a month before we got together. And that was outside of this situation where we're constantly with each other. So I'm like, maybe half of a month is like, what, 2 weeks, 10 days. Maybe? Girl, I still don't get it. But we move, especially not with Joey and Monica. Joey and Monica don't know each other. I really don't have much more.
It's based on their rankings every day and they match it up. Okay.
Okay, period.
That's
cute. I'm glad y'all have the tea, honey.
Yeah, because girl, I don't be knowing any of the ins and out, mama.
At all. Let's go to the next couple, because hey. Ben and Sarah, honey. Now, I like Sarah. I'm gonna just say it right now.
Sarah is my woke goddess, my queen, my LGBT ally. I will say, and I'll say this. Mm-hmm. I do find it slightly weird, Sarah, no shade, you're my sister, that he would not give you a clear answer on some things about how you claim to feel very strongly about, and you still chose to get with him. Because I feel like there are a lot of people in the world who claim they're allies and then go to bed with their racist husband.
Amen.
So, of course, you say you're not comfortable with that, and I feel like Sarah would check that if it did come up.
Amen.
But I just feel like, girl, that was a red flag right there.
Amen. I do agree. It's so, this whole situation is weird, because basically Sarah feels like, just to break it down for the girls who don't know, because no shade, a lot of people didn't get past episode 3, but Sarah feels like that Ben is he's not on the same wavelength with her when it comes to political issues, values, morals, etc. Her sister is gay, and she was like, look, I just want you to be comfortable with that. He was like, oh, I'm comfortable with that. Then she brought up the fact that, okay, hey, we also need to talk about the political scheme, because when it comes to who you're voting for, what does it feel about that? Ben says he's never voted. And she was like, okay. Then she's like, okay, and George Floyd, that happened in our state. So
Which
you
I did
should
not
have an
like. I
opinion
did not
about
think
that.
about that when she
Didn't
said
think
that.
about it. So she's like, you should have an opinion about that, of course, right? And he was like, not really an opinion on it. And she was like, don't
But the
like your
thing is,
answer.
like, what annoys me about people like that, I feel like it's so easy to have them swayed to the right because, like, or they're just saying they don't have an opinion on it and really have a strong opinion on it. They just don't want to fucking say it on a national stage. Like, it's just like, it's just so. Why would you not have an opinion on that? You watched a
How?
man. I'm sure you've seen the video.
How?
Literally murdered in broad daylight for no reason at all, for real, and you don't have an opinion. It literally ignited like riots and a lot of change within the world, and you have no opinion. Like, I just feel like that stuff is very weird. I really don't respect people who say they don't have an opinion on politics or feel like they're not involved. Like, that's very ignorant. It's just very ignorant, especially as like a black person, as a minority group. Like, the reason why there's so many changes as far as like the 14th Amendment and civil rights, that was considered political movements back then, that took votes and certain like political things to push those into the forefront. So it's like, you should care about those things, because if you don't, then we go back to a time where the only people with rights in this country was white men, and that's what they're trying to do right now. But like, that's why we have to get involved, because they will try to do that in so many ways.
Yeah. And it is the most privileged thing in the world to say that you don't have an opinion on Black Lives Matter or politics at all and that you didn't vote. That is literally insane. And it's so uncomfortable to really watch, because I believe him. I actually believe him when he says he doesn't have an opinion because he doesn't have to. He basically said it doesn't affect me. Oh well.
And
I
that's
do
because,
believe that it doesn't affect him. And he doesn't have to worry about it. And he doesn't have to care.
I think that's why
Which is
so
bullshit.
many people try to argue that, oh, well, I can think this and still be friends, because especially to a lot of white people in this country, it doesn't matter.
Yep, it doesn't
Trump
matter.
is
Including to
president,
Sarah.
and they'll still be
Including to
good.
Sarah, it doesn't really matter. Her sister's gay. She's not gay. She's not black. So I do think, even on her perspective, that's why she said yes to the nigga. Because him not caring, which should be enough for her to leave, it's not enough for her to leave, because she knows everybody in her family, all her friends, all the people around her, there's probably people who don't care all around her every single day. So him saying that, she was like, well, at least
I'm
he
making
didn't vote for
exceptions for them.
Trump. Well, at least he's saying he's going to work on it. You know what? He probably is going to work. I can help him. Now, what I will say about Sarah, I mean, I can only go from what we've seen. It can easily be performative, but she brought it up it seems like every time they were in the pause, they were wearing different clothes.
Like she was, but it's like she just I just like it's a big contradiction at this point, because you seem so serious about it and then you still make the decision. I feel like if it was me, based off his answers, I would have said no. Sorry, I couldn't do it. Expecting him to grow out of this experience is very, very low, especially because
you're old.
To fully, I feel like for a person who has no opinion, or someone who's fully on the right side of it, it's going to be a hard concept for them to grasp some of these things, you know? So I just feel like, girl, are you going to educate him? Do you have the education to educate him, girl? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I feel like I really enjoyed her and Madison, because I feel like they were both asking like real questions. Like, that is very important. And I did like that she brought it up, because I feel like not enough people are asking these questions. That shit is important. Yeah. What are your values? What are your morals? Do you think people deserve rights? It's very simple. Like, I just feel like this shit is very simple, especially with politics these days. Do you want people to have rights
or not,
and the freedom of expression, or not? Yes or no? Quickly. And if you say no, well, you're weird.
And I think that was her confusion. She shouldn't be confused, but I think that was her confusion with Ben, is that he kept saying, like, I remember the last conversation he had with her. He said, it is not your responsibility to educate me. I'm going to get educated. I feel like I do agree with all the ideas you're saying. This nigga was telling her what she wanted to hear. And I think that's her problem. She had her love goggles on. Her love is not blind goggles on. And she was feeling all the, oh, he is gonna try. He's telling me. He was telling her the things she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear him say, I'll try. And that's what she said. And that was enough for her.
But even her saying, like, I believe you're not actively racist. And it's like, girl, that's enough.
That's enough. Him saying that and him saying he'll try, allegedly, is enough for her. But my thing is, if she, and I told you, Lee, this, if she stands on business, then she stands on business. If in this next drop, She finds out that he hasn't done no research when they're at home and they got their phones and they got their laptops when he could be Googling every motherfucking day. No shade. I have my ex Googling shit every day. I said, look this up. Like, no, if he's not Googling shit every day, then she needs to leave him. If she's still with him in this next drop on the same matter, we'll see. But you know what? Now that I just said that, now that I just said that, the way they're editing this, they made that their entire plot. So it might come up again, and she might actually leave him over that. So we will see on that. If she leaves him, she's standing on business. If she don't leave him, then she's not standing on shit. But water, baby. Ooh. But hey, we move. Some of the people in the chat were also saying that look, she was going to Virginia for that approval. I can see the approval of it all from her. I will say.
Wait, I'm confused. Say it again.
Because she went to Virginia after having a conversation with Ben, and she told him, she was like, "Yeah, he said he didn't vote for the right person."
Oh,
and it did feel like, are you going to her because you want her to be like, "Yes, girl, you're doing a good job." I don't love moments like that.
It gives very much like
why did you even bring it up?
Like, girl, he said he don't care about black people,
and then you got with him, and I just don't understand why bring it up outside of the pods to the black person in the room if you're still gonna get with him, and then also, what did you want from her? What did you want her to say?
Let her sister know. Her sister know.
You're right.
During Black History Month, that yes, she's still gonna choose this white man, but he may be a little racist, sister. So don't judge me.
You're right.
That's what you want to let her know.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll put a pin on it. I don't mind her just yet. She's fine. I feel like
I do like her. So I hope. Yeah, I agree. I hope she stays on business. But at the same time, it's like a few questionable things already. Let me see. Do we have any other notes?
Like their relationship, how I feel like they bond. I do think they have a good bond because one of the main reasons she felt okay with staying with him is because she felt like they bonded over everything else very, very well. Yeah. They were laying down right by the thing, kicking their feet and giggling over every single topic. So I think that also helped because I think she just likes him. And then when it comes to the values, she's like, "Ooh, I like him, but the values are off, Henny." And that should have been enough, but I guess it just wasn't enough for her.
But I will say when they met, it gave sparks with flying. Like it was a cute little meeting. Like I feel like they both were gagged because honestly, they both look good. They look good together.
This is a good couple. I'm not gonna lie.
They were a cute couple. Yeah. And I feel like they both knew that. They was like, "Damn, you actually look great." And then, but what kind of shook me, which I feel like I shouldn't be shocked about. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I heard this last season when they proposed in person, but them saying "I love you" to each other so much. They said it like fucking 50 times. I was like, love is such a strong word. Like, ooh, like in 10 days.
I'm glad T-Fran brought this up because I did write this down. He said, "I don't think the religion thing will go well either because he goes every week and she never goes." The first drop, they talked about religion, and he did say he chooses to go to church every single week, and he would want his partner to go as well. And she was like, "Oh, I'm spiritual, but
and
I'm
that's
not."
The thing, like, if that's going to become a moral issue, and I'm pretty sure as a religious person, he probably wants his family to kind of partake, especially when they have children and stuff like that. So that's just important conversations to expand on before you want to marry somebody.
Yeah, and that's why I like people like Madison and what she did, because if it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
And we shouldn't move forward. And I feel like they already have too many things that they are not aligned on enough just with that, but they were cute. No shade.
Yeah.
Next we have now I just want to say off rip, David is obviously terrible, horrible, and big red flag, but
very much so.
Lauren and Molly, I'd say barely better than him. No shade, like it's no shade.
I will say I don't think Molly is terrible. I do think Molly's goal was to leave there with something. That's what I'll say.
That is true.
Because she seemed very accepting of all the crazy shit he was saying.
Yes.
And then Lauren, same. But Lauren is also kind of cracked. And
she's a very cracked queen.
I'm gonna enjoy that energy very much so. Like we think he's crazy. She's crazier than him, bitch. She's Harley Quinn.
This
That
is the Joker and
gag,
Harley
like
Quinn, honey.
this girl is about to put him on his ass, and I'm about to live for it. Like Lauren is fucking hilarious. Like she
I do
is
agree.
hilarious. It's kind of giving obsessed tease. Like it's giving very much. If you leave me,
No one can
you
have it.
leave
If I
this
can't have
world.
you, no one can. And this is my issue with Lauren and Molly. The reason I find them as bad people is because they're accepting of this terrible person. David got on there and he told every girl in the room that they're over 30 and they're too old and they're pushing.
He was joking. It was a joke.
He said all these terrible, horrendous,
It was a
misogynistic
joke.
jokes, and both of
Have
them
a
heard
sense of
some jokes.
humor. You don't have a sense of humor? It was a joke.
I don't. Saying so many weird, horrible things.
It kept happening, and then he would randomly say like sexual shit.
Yes.
And it was just like, why are we getting sexual? Like, we'll be talking about my fucking grandmother passing, and you say, "Oh, I bet your titties look great." I'm like, what?
Like what?
It wasn't that vulgar, but it was still just like random moments of like, why are we talking about sexual things?
Like what? So, he was on the first episode, because I have some of this written down because it got wild.
Mm-hmm.
He was asking.
We started with Molly and Lauren first.
I'm gonna start with Lauren because he talked to Lauren first. He was asking Lauren about, first of all, he made a comment about OnlyFans to her on the first day he met her. That was one of his jokes. He also said, after she told her his age, she said she's 30 something. He's like, "Oh, you're over 30. You definitely lost all your looks." Then that was already weird.
And then the thing is, I saw the hesitation in her face, and it's like, girl, you gonna laugh at that? That wasn't funny. The thing is, even if it was a joke, it wasn't funny.
Right?
I'm not laughing.
What's funny? And then his excuse is, "I work with medical aesthetics." Lee, get up! Oh,
girl, that's the laptop. It fell.
His excuse was, "I work with medical aesthetics." First of all, do you?
And the thing is, last year I said Ramsey didn't have a job. I'm questioning if he has a job, because he explains his job to Molly later, and I don't think he says the same thing.
He says the same concept, but in a different way. He says medical aesthetics here, and I think later on he says,
that's the thing. Like, if he's a plastic surgeon or like an assistant to a plastic surgeon, or wouldn't you say that? What is medical aesthetics?
He works with medical aesthetics. You know what that could be? I could work with medical aesthetics and work at Tom Thumb selling face wash.
Like, let's Google medical aesthetics.
What does that mean? And that's his excuse for why he's so shallow and he cares so much about looks. Girl, what? They in the chat, they said that man is unemployed.
Medical aesthetics is a type of healthcare that uses medical expertise and technology to enhance a person's appearance. It's also known as cosmetic medicine, appearance medicine. Oh, girl, anti-aging cream.
He's a pharmacist.
Girl, he running pyramid schemes, bitch.
Got you. He's one of the people who email you.
Who's selling bleaching creams and shit.
Instagram DMs. Hey, do you want to join this company we sell? Girl, boo. So he doesn't do anything, and he has all this smoke about Lauren, and he feels like, because she's a teacher, and he feels like she might not be as cute as he expects because he doesn't usually go for teachers, and this is all because he's in medical aesthetics. So this is why he thinks. And
it's like, it's him saying that and knowing he's in medical aesthetics. It's like, so basically you're shallow.
Like what? And then mind you, you're the ugliest man on this. You're the ugliest person on this screen right now. Yeah. And you're talking about what other people look like. You need to really look inwards. So yeah, already very, very weird. He reminds me of Steven from last year. The one who was with, is her name Nicole? He's the he's not even light skinned. He's the white boy who's 10% black. Him with the curly hair, weird, very sexual. They have so many similarities because he was also very randomly sexual. And he talked about maybe getting pegged. And David also had a conversation about maybe getting pegged.
He never confirmed that.
He did say that last season.
He did?
Last season, Steven did say something like that.
I don't think he said he got it. I thought we talked about that.
No. He said he would be open to it. And David also said, with the black girl he was with. And David also made a comment like that with Lauren. And it's like, y'all are both very sexual. Also, extreme red flags. Guess what else David said? I've cheated on one of my relationships before. I've cheated before.
He also said he was an asshole and dick in his previous relationships.
Like what?
And you're like, oh, I want, yes.
You're weird. You're weird.
And then he also brought up that his sister mentioned that none of the girls there would be good for you. And it's like, oh, flowers in the attic?
Right. I have
Hmm.
heavy theories about that. Well, because they have a story. Let me get to the end of their story because I got some theories. So of course David likes Lauren, and David is also talking to Molly. The Lauren and Molly situation, I feel like we can use this to travel to Molly because Lauren and Molly are both talking to David back in the girls' room where they're all chit chatting and chatting. Molly ends up saying that she is talking to David.
And
So
it's like,
now
girl, why are you running your mouth? That's one. You
and
don't
that was already messy.
don't give up your tea, mama. Because what they say, don't let your these girls know who your man is, girl. Because then they gonna
Yeah.
want to taste. Don't let
Yes.
them know about your nigga. Keep him
Yes.
on lock. No face, no case.
Yes. So Lauren finds out that Molly is talking to David. And so now she needs space from Molly. She feels like she doesn't even need to be in the room with
Girl,
her. She starts calling
girl,
this girl, she starts calling Molly delusional for what she
girl. No,
it was getting bad.
what's hilarious is at the end there was a conversation. And she literally said that to her face. She was like, I didn't know if I was more delusional or if it was you. Mind you, he just broke up with Molly.
Mind you, it was her. Like you
So
basically
she's
saying
saying
that.
in her face that you were the delusional one this whole time. And
Yes.
I knew that.
Yes. Which is crazy because the reason she's saying this is because David had told Molly that she was his number one. And then he lied to Lauren and said he never said that. So that's why Molly's walking around thinking that he's his number one, happy. Lauren is like, Molly's delusional. Now Lauren is feeling like she can't fuck with Molly. It was just a lot going
The
on.
thing
It was
is,
a
though,
lot.
it's like, you know the experiment. You know you're supposed to be dating other people.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're getting upset at this is just like, girl, like this is not anything to get upset about. And then got upset to the point she was like, I can't even be around her. I can't be in the conversation with
Yeah.
her. It's like, girl, like it's gonna be a mess. She's one of those people where like she gonna see a call. Who the fuck is Brittany?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my sister. Why the fuck is
Right.
she calling you?
Her and his sister, they're gonna have a beef because the amount of times his sister got brought up and the amount of cracked that Lauren is, I do feel like they're gonna have a beef. But by the end of it, they end up together, which is so terrible. I don't feel like they had a connection, and I don't feel like David and Molly had a connection either. Actually, I don't feel like either of them have a connection because with Molly, I think Molly did try to get into some other things on her end because she asked him if your kid was LGBT, how would you feel about that? She talked about growing up with her parents and how she feels like when she grew up with her parents, they didn't agree on a lot of things politically. David started talking about his politics, which I noticed was the same shit Steven from last season said as well about politics. Because Molly's like, I feel like it's okay if me and my family doesn't agree on politics, da 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 da. David was like, you know what? I feel the same way because, I just don't even really care about politics that much. I don't have much to say about it. It is what it is. I agree with both. I disagree with both. Da 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 da. But what I will say is I do think Molly got into some more deep conversations than Lauren did, but I didn't see him with either of them. I just think he's a terrible person. And I don't think he's telling either of them the truth. He's just telling them what they want to hear. Truly. No shade. But yeah, it was a no for me. Don't like David. Don't like him with Molly. And he ended up with Lauren. And I don't like him with
wanted
Lauren.
to try and I guess I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little lost because it was like a back and forth. So I'm just trying to figure out because I wanted to break down how they got to the point of him breaking up with Molly and then him going with Lauren.
Yeah, let's break that down. Let's go for it. Period. Because at the end of the day, what happened was David told Molly he was his number one. She was his number one. She went back to the pods. She told people in the pods. Lauren overheard. So Lauren called him out about it. She called him out, had a whole conversation. And that's the conversation of her calling him out about his girlfriend and say that Molly said that she was your number one. He got real weird about that because he's like, look, you're saying this now, and this is exactly why I didn't want to say anything. Because I didn't want to get caught up in the girl drama. I didn't want to get all caught up in what you girls do and all of this stuff. And she's like, well, I don't think it's
He
girl
really tried to
drama.
dumb it down. Like, no,
She was
you're
like, I don't think
lying.
it's girl drama. I just think you got to figure out what you want because you're my number one. And this is when he used it as an excuse. He's like, oh, well, you didn't tell me that. You never told me you were my number one. But Molly did tell me. So that's why I was confused because I didn't know that I was the only one for you. I thought you had other people. And she was like, well, no, I'm just here for you. That's all it was. It is what it is. And that was that on that. And this is when he's like, oh, well, you and Molly were just, they're similar to me. And so it was confusing. And I just didn't know. And then he starts to fake cry. I hate when niggas do that. When niggas know they're wrong and they're playing in bitches' faces, they start to fake play the victim. So he starts to fake play the victim here. And he's fake crying to her face. I guess she gives a fuck. I thought she didn't give a fuck. But she's acting very like she's angry. She's acting like she's mad and that she doesn't care about him crying. And I thought at this point maybe Lauren would leave him, but it wasn't given leave.
She was not gonna leave him. She already said he's the only reason why she's there, basically. But so I don't know. I'm actually happy she didn't because, like I said, this is gonna be a very funny couple to cover.
I think she wanted to get chose, and I think Molly also wanted to get chose. I think they both were with the worst nigga they could be with in the house, but they were still okay with getting chosen.
Lauren really went off the deep end with it. Like Molly was not worried about who else he was talking to. She was not. I feel like she was focused on herself, and then she realized, oh, like you just broke it off with me for basically no reason at all. But that's why it's so weird because it is very interesting how these relationships form because it's like I feel like sometimes people know they're not feeling a certain person. And it's like, so why are you telling them all of these things to basically lead them on? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I find that I feel like even if you're talking to two people, I feel like, wouldn't you know, like by like the third or fourth day, if you've been talking to them since day one, like which one you would prefer?
That's what happened with Mason as well. And that's the thing. I don't even think David was trying. I think he was just, I'm talking to both of them, whichever one tells me first, I'm going to get with, move forward. And then we'll get to Mason later. I feel like he's just, I don't even know. I don't get it. Because you should know by now. Like, Lauren and Molly aren't even alike to me. I feel like these are two totally, Lauren is a crack queen. She's a teacher. Y'all had totally different types of conversations. Molly is talking about politics and LGBT, totally different types of conversations. You know which one you like better. And I just think David doesn't like either of them. He probably don't even like girls. Let's be honest. He does not. He's the type of person who he treats people very weirdly. Like the way he speaks about women, the way he speaks about them, the way even the comment he made, it's an innocent comment in the moment. But when you think of everything he said, when he's like, oh, I don't want to get in girl drama. It's like, you just see women as a specific type of a thing. Like they're just an object to you. Oh, if they're over 30, they're useless. Oh, you're a teacher, so you're probably ugly. Oh, y'all are getting in girl drama. I don't want to. He doesn't respect women at all. So I don't think he gives a fuck about either of them. He's just here and he's just
I
like,
think that was very clear as well. But also the way he broke it off with Molly, it was such a weird conversation because she was basically saying like, I feel like you're trying to make me break it off with you. Like, I don't know what you're trying to do here. Cause that's when he was like fake crying. And it's like, it was so obvious it was fake crying, girl. Like no tears was falling down at all. And she was like, oh, well, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not trying to make you say it. And she was like, well, I feel like you should just make your decision. And he was like, well, I feel like I just did. And it's like, in that little crying session, did you get that? I feel like I didn't get that. He literally didn't. She had to guide him to that because he's crying because he's saying it's so much to him and he's confused. So Molly's like, well, do you like her more? Do you feel like you have a better emotional connection? He's like, yes. And then she's like, then what's confusing? You want her. And he's like, oh, well, I just, and that's the thing. I don't want to say that. I don't want to make it seem like I'm choosing. And it's like, but you are. You're the one with the decision. You have to choose. He doesn't want to choose. It was so weird how he just like responded. He's a gaslighter, manipulative, probably a cheater, and he likes getting pegged. It's way too much. It's way too much. And you know what? You're right. I'm glad Lauren ended up with him because Molly is not the type to. I don't think Molly's the type. He would have broke Molly. He would have broke Molly. I don't think she's gonna stand up and go back and forth. I think she would have just sat there and let him do what he did. Because kind of even in this conversation, he's like he's playing dumb, and Molly's just like, okay, girl.
But when he was trying to play dumb, Lauren was standing up. She was like, "Are you telling her that you're her number one? Because if you are, I'm not gonna leave." And
you gonna put it on motherfucking wax, okay? Like she's not playing with you, girl. She's not playing. So, but I found this interaction so funny, right? Because after they broke up, she goes to the girls' room and she goes to talk to Lauren. Lauren is immediately happy as fuck because she can see Molly is sad. Like, I just know for a fact Lauren in this whole conversation was giddy. Like, she wanted to jump out of her seat so motherfucking bad because it was literally this whole big thing of like, he's saying we're both number one. He told her that he's cutting me off. Mm-hmm. He didn't tell me that. So what the fuck is he? And she's basically telling her that, David broke up with me. And she's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like, oh my God. And Molly was like, I wouldn't have said it in front of you if I knew. I thought he was talking to Sarah. And she was like, yeah, David really wants to pursue you. And that's when Lauren basically called her a dumb bitch in her face.
Yeah. And Molly mentions in this conversation that he made promises to her. So that's why she was confused.
Promises.
And what's funny is Lauren had already called him out about talking to Molly. Then this conversation happened. And on the next day, Lauren calls him out again, even after he broke up with Molly. And she's like, did you make promises to her? Or did you not make any promises? Because if that's the case, and he was like, no, I didn't. And he is an evil liar because he straight up said he did not make any promises. And it's like, yes, you did.
You made several promises. And it's like, Lauren is dumb as hell to believe that because like she is dumb as hell, basically. Because even earlier in the episode, she was like, oh, like, I think she's interpreting what he's saying wrong. How would she leave out of the room saying that she thinks he's his number? Like, there's no way to interpret that wrong unless he said it.
Very sad. And then, mind you, David, because the goal is supposed to be marriage, I would assume David knows he's not going to. I don't know what David knows, but all of this is on video.
Girl,
this
David
is being recorded. So if they hypothetically got married, which I don't even think David expected, but if they did, she gonna see this. So you lying straight to her face, it's gonna get caught by the reunion. So her
ass not gonna care.
You're right.
You see,
I don't think they're together.
She called him out like 5 times in the pods, and she still got with him. Ooh. She gonna argue it out, but she wants to keep her man.
I did want to say Lauren and David do remind me of white couples that I do see IRL. There are a lot of instances where I see that the man is very, just frankly, misogynistic. He don't really give a fuck about women. He has very masculine values. He's minding his business, doing his own thing, probably fucking other bitches, probably fucking people, on Euphoria, Nate Daddy. There's men like that. And then the wives of the men they're angry about it, they're upset about it, but they just have to accept the fact that this is a terrible man because they ended up with a terrible man. If Lauren got all these signs from David in this pod and she was not able to realize she shouldn't get with this man, this is probably what she would do in real life. 100%. So even if she don't get with David, she's probably going to get with a man similar to David in real life. And they're going to have a relationship in real life where he doesn't give a fuck about her and she's going to be mad about it all day. So now you get angry white women walking around with their white woman tears. And then you get terrible white men walking around with their wives who are angry. This is exactly how it happens. We just saw it happen right here. It's actually crazy.
Honestly, that's really in every community. Like every community. It truly is. Like,
actually.
It's so like there's so many examples of that. So many examples of that. People get in these relationships just to say they're in a relationship. People do anything just to keep someone on their arm. Like just to say brother on my arm, no brother on your arm. Like, girl, it's not that serious. It's not that serious to have somebody. It's really not. It's really not, because these people don't even be loving themselves. They don't. Yeah. They get this like dopamine rush of saying that they're with someone saying they love you, knowing damn well that shit ain't real.
No, damn well that shit ain't real. But yeah, there's that. They're definitely not going to work out. So we'll just keep an eye on them. I can't wait for their arguments.
Yeah. And then they met each other in person, David and Lauren, because they ended up getting proposed.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't say shit in person to each other.
Nope.
It was kind of awkward. Like I didn't
know.
And then after all of this mess where he literally was saying that he wasn't sure about either one of them, he tells Lauren when he asked her to marry him that, you've made me the most happy in a span of 10 days. And we mentioned that earlier, but it's just like, bro, 10 days? And now she made you the most happiest person in the world when just yesterday you were still undecided?
Or did your sister make you the most happy? And then that was another ending moment. I did want to go back to that. Because he's crying about this Molly and Lauren situation to the boys in the boys' room. And he mentions, I don't know how my sister's going to feel. and he was talking to Devin, the black man, and he was like, I mean, I don't think it matters what your sister feels, right? Like, just do what you want to do.
He does.
Because mind you, David is 39 or 30 something years old. Who gives a fuck? Unless, what are you and your sister doing?
Flowers in the attic.
What are you and your sister doing? Is it sister
Girl.
like that's my sister, or is it sister like
Girl,
sis?
it's
Like
not even
brother,
giving-
like what kind of sister?
right.
Like, okay, so I do have a theory that David's sister and him have a very close relationship,
Mhm.
and that's why he's afraid. Because when she meets any girl he gets with, it'll be.
Or you know how people be like, "Oh, she's just a boy mom." That the negative
Yep.
boy mom stereotype.
Yep.
She's a boy sister.
She's a boy sister for sure.
Oh my
we'll
god,
see
that's
how
gonna
that
be so
goes.
interesting. I need to see Lauren meet her because look, Lauren, like I need Lauren to keep this up. I'm sorry if Lauren keeps this up. I'm gonna stand her. I'm sorry because she is hilarious. Like I feel like if her sister tries her,
She gonna try her back, right?
like I'm kind of excited.
His sister
But-
found her match. Okay.
Very this Asia, 90% of the people on Love Is Blind are desperate to get married, and that's just
Oh
the
yes.
truth. I think I would say half the men are really just desperate, and then the other half of the men are honestly just there for the fun of it. Like I think a lot of these men get on here and they don't give a damn. They're just here to do it. I think some of them think that they're not here. I think they seriously are here to find love, but it's like once you start seeing the actions, it's like, girl, you were not here for that.
Mm-hmm.
You were not here for that. And I think with the women, unfortunately, some of them do sign up to find love. I think now there's a good chunk of them that just want to get with somebody because they're desperate. But I do think there are some girls who actually want to try and get the most of this experience. But 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to get it.
Yeah. Child, next situation was a lot of them, girl. Let's see how we'll do this.
Oh, girl.
Girl. So this is what's happening. Mason is talking to Madison and Meg.
Mm-hmm.
Madison is talking to Alex and Mason. Mind you, none of these people got married. None of these people got married. And that is the issue.
I'm trying to see which order would be easier to go first. Should we go Meg first?
We should go Meg first because I think we should go Meg first because it ends off on the episode with Madison and her situation with Mason.
Y'all, girl, that tea was.
It's a whole
crazy. That was crazy.
Thing.
The way Madison Mason ended, and then motherfucking what was the girl name? Daniel and Taylor.
Yes.
Ooh,
it was a.
That's what I'm saying, y'all. If y'all didn't get to this like second half, that is really where it picked up.
Child, they in the chat. Somebody said, Charmers or Nick said, all four of them wasted our damn time. They did.
No, I'm really upset that we got no couple out of this.
Mind you, I like Madison. I did like Madison.
I love Madison. I'm so sad she left there with nothing.
And at first, I didn't hate Mason either. He just is indecisive. I kind of liked Madison with Alex. Like, I wanted one of this, not
the thing is, I like Mason with Alex, but I guess Mason and Alex is giving flowers in the attic. Like, I don't know what's going down up in the men's quarters. I don't know who's doing the bending, but it was so crazy how he did this 180 and was just defending Mason as if whatever Mason says is Bible. Like, I really want to know what their private conversations were because he was so different with her after he realized that they broke up. It was like, what? And it's sad because I thought he was the match for her because I don't think Mason was the match for her. So I'm kind of happy she didn't get with him either, but it's unfortunate. But at the same time, I like Madison so much that it's like, girl, you didn't need either one of them.
Okay, so Mason and Meg. Did you see Mason with Meg to begin with? I wonder what you think about that because no shade.
Not really. Meg this entire time gave very much, girl, I just need somebody to talk to. Especially because the first time meeting, I was like, ooh, she is a chatty Kathy. Okay, this girl spoke 10 words a minute. Is that a lot? That is a lot. Like, girl, she was talking.
I felt like she was mirroring him the whole time. And I just didn't buy their relationship. I didn't buy it at all. I just felt like he would say something and she would say me too. Or she would say something and he would find why that connects to him so much randomly, or it would be a coincidence. It never gave that they were working out for me at all.
Yep.
But Mason, I don't know if he's just too surface. You know what? He is too surface level. Because I feel like with Meg, all they bonded over was the fact that they liked the same type of movies.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to Madison later. They didn't really bond over anything either. It was Madison carrying that relationship. He himself, he doesn't ask interesting questions. He asked both of them, what was your Halloween costume?
My
And
girl.
he was like, Meg, no, this is what he said. He said, Meg, we got to get into some more deeper conversations. So she was like, okay, ask me anything. He was like, what was your best Halloween costume? And she was like, oh, I thought you were going to ask me something more serious.
Like,
and he was like, oh, that is serious. That's important to me.
But you know what, too? I feel like we saw that a lot this season. I don't remember if this was as frequent last season, but I feel like this season we saw a lot of irrelevant ass conversations. I'm like, I don't give a damn about what you did on fucking Christmas Eve 10 years ago. Like, I don't know. Like, I just like it was bringing up random shit. The most stupidest questions. Like, girl, are we in high school?
Yes. Like, what? But so I didn't even think they really meshed together. Actually, I just think they mirrored each other. But the first situation with them was after one of the conversations, they were about to leave, and he was like, oh, I just get so confused after these conversations. And Meg is a little antsy. She is a little antsy. I don't think she should
very much Lauren energy as well.
Yes.
That would have been fun if her and Mason made it, because
I do agree, because I liked her. She was a little erratic, for lack of better words. She was out there because he just said, oh, I just get so confused. And I think she kind of ran with that a lot, because she went all the way back to the pods and she told the girl, she was like, yeah, we ended the conversation and he said he's confused. And it's like, I'm ending it and I'm having a good time, which I do get it from her perspective. She's ending it like I'm in love with him, and he's ending it like I'm now confused. And she's like, that told me you clearly got another girl who you're trying to talk to and you're trying to get with.
Clocked.
She did clock. And she's like, that made her feel like she wasn't his top girl, which at the time he wasn't. And he's telling the boys, he's like, he's stuck between Meg and Madison. So it's like, it's just,
I feel like I could, from outside looking in, I was like, girl, he want Madison. If it's not Madison, he's not. No. Meg is just there for the ride. Like, for real. Like, if it don't work out with Madison, I got Meg on my shoulder.
I do agree. I do feel like that's what happened. And then at the end, he kind of regrets it. And it's like, that's exactly why you regret it, because you wanted to just have Meg if you couldn't have Madison. And you couldn't
I was slightly confused, not to skip ahead too far, but like, I was like, was he saying he told Meg I love you, but he regretted it?
No.
To Madison? I was like so confused by that.
So this is what happened, because this is why they didn't end up together. So what happened next was Mason had a session with Madison, and in that session with Madison, he told Madison that I feel like I'm committed to you. And that's because Madison actually has real conversations, and she tells her men that they need to commit. Period. So she was pressing him a little bit for it. And he said, you know what? I was thinking about what you said. I do commit to you. This got back to Meg. Meg found out in the girls' room that happened. And that's when Meg was like, hold the fuck on. She did have a conversation with him, and she's like, you know, I do feel like the energy kind of shifted a little bit. I don't really know how you're feeling, because I just don't understand this situation. Happening. Right. Because she knows, she clocked that he told Madison that. So yeah, she calls him out about it. And in this moment, he's like being coy because she's not really saying much. Then within the next day, Madison reveals that her and Alex got together. That we'll get into that later on a little more, but Madison and Alex officialized themselves, and they said they're cutting off all their other connections. He didn't know that when he talked to Meg. So Meg is like, wow, he's probably going to now say I'm his number one, but I'll never really know, because it's only because Madison is leaving him, not because he chose me. So she was like, I don't know if
very evident.
If I could be clear with that. And I do like Meg. Meg's, I hate to judge somebody, because I was wrong with my judgment. I did not think Meg would be that type of person to leave at a situation like this and really stand on her toes. I thought she would be like, you know what? He does like me, and just stayed with them. But after this,
I'm happy she did, because I feel like there's way too many people on this show that just be okay with looking crazy. Like Ashley from last season. And now you see, where is Ashley and that man now? We didn't even talk about that. What was his name? Jared? Tyler. Girl, I don't even remember nobody's name.
Oh my God.
Ashley and Tyler was a mess. Everybody told that girl, you are stupid.
I did
leave him. all of this shit coming out the woodwork. She's like, oh, clearly y'all don't know what it's like to be married. Y'all don't know what it's like to keep a man. Y'all don't know. Well, I guess you don't know either.
You don't know either. Yeah, she had made a statement, and she said there were some things that weren't being fully disclosed, and
Girl,
it
what
just
do you
kept
mean?
coming on. And it's like,
What do
girl,
you
that
mean?
didn't
It
was
was
happening.
disclosed before the reunion, and you went there and said, I don't believe any of it. People are haters. They're just jealous.
And you know what's crazy? The reason I thought they were going to stay together is because I thought she didn't care about the shit that was not getting disclosed. No, she does care. She was just delusional. Like, y'all were right. The bitch is just stupid. I'm thinking, oh, she just don't give a fuck. She's one of that girls. She's going to be married and she's going to stay with her man. No, now she got a divorce. For no reason. She should have never got with that man if she was gonna care about some shit like that. The way she was stomping at that reunion and checking the host for asking her that, girl, I would have thought she would have stayed with that man forever. I would have never let that embarrass me the way I acted a fool on TV and then the reunion.
Because the tea was too girl, like the tea was every fucking where. Like, and at this point, like, there's no way you could have denied what was happening
at all. Stupid, just stupid. But anyways, so the situation happens with Madison. She breaks up with Mason, and after that, Meg has one last conversation with Mason, and she's like, "Well, honestly, boo, I know you was with her, and I know that she broke it off with you. So I don't know how I can trust that you would have chosen me. And I'm the type of girl where you needed to choose me." And he's like, "I'm just sorry that happened." And da 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 da. And we'll get into it later. But his conversation with Madison basically said, you might end up with nobody because you didn't want to decide. And that's exactly what the fuck happened.
Mason is one of those people where it's like, girl, he was not coming here to be married for real. Like, let's be honest. I don't even think he's someone who thought he was. I think he was just like, girl, let me get on TV real quick. Because at the end of the day, he wanted to leave there with one of them. So he tried to keep juggling them to the end to see, okay, if I don't get this one, I'll get this one.
Yeah,
but then he fucked up.
I agree.
I will say, Love is Blind should be a little bit more messy. Like they should do things to like let them know who's talking to who. Like, cause that really be fun to see them like the drama that's caused from that be fun as fuck. Like there should be a board with like hearts.
That's messy.
And it's like Madison 2 hearts because she's talking to 2 people. It's like, I don't know. So guess. And then in the girls' room, it's all the men. And then in the boys' room, it's all the girls. And it's like, oh.
That's messy.
Like, that could be tea. Has someone ever talked to more than 2 people and actually had like a real storyline? Because that would be crazy.
Yeah,
like,
more than 2 people is crazy.
Damn.
That would have to be somebody who is not here for love at all. Like a David. Like...
Yes, T-Fran. Mason was talking about cream pies with Madison. He was really randomly sexual.
Yes, he was.
Wasn't she the girl? He was like, "Oh, did you play?" She played like soccer or something. He was like, "Oh, you still got that uniform?" What?
Yep. He was very like
I'm into role play. Girl, what?
The deepest he got was the sexual conversation. Because other than that, he was very, very surface level, for sure. But we can move over to Madison.
Nothing I say original. Why every time I say something, they be like, "Oh, this concept already exists." I'd be like, "Damn," because I don't even watch Temptation Island.
No,
but
that's crazy.
Nick said like the Temptation Island red light. I don't know what that concept is.
Is Temptation Island that show where there's a clip going around of a man crying because his girl is fucking another man on TV and he's watching her fuck another man on TV? Is that in Temptation Island? Does anybody know?
That might be that.
Have you seen that clip?
I saw hella clips about that. And bro, did you see the clip of them actually doing it in the bed? Like, girl.
Montoya, yes.
Oh my God, that's that.
We need to get into that, honey. Montoya, por favor, not y'all Temptation Island fans. No, that looks dramatic. No shade to Love is Blind. It's not dramatic sometimes. I need some drama. I need some girls watching people fuck other bitches. That's what I need. And then apparently,
I think Love Island,
he got her back later on. Ooh, the tea is there.
That's why I think Love Island is going to be a good recap this summer because I heard there's like a twist where like you could go to this different section with other people or people be coming back with different people. Like that shit is messy. That shit is messy.
Oh, Casa Amor.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That is tea. Because I always do hear with Love Island, I hear about drama. I'm like, how is there so much drama? They just in love on the island. No, honey. And then there's matchup ceremonies. You have to choose someone. Like basically, if this was Love Island, Mason would have had to do a match or something, and he would have had to choose Madison or Meg. And it's like, ooh, you done choose one right in front of their face. But yeah, moving on to the Madison of it all. Madison is talking to Alex and Mason. I liked her better with Alex the whole time, personally, more than I liked her with Mason. And that's probably why what happened because she clearly liked Alex better too.
She liked Alex better the entire time, and that's why like Madison like it's so interesting because she's one of those people who knew very much early on. Like everything she was saying was like leaning towards Alex, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But it was so interesting because in her Mason conversations, it would still give very much, I want you, like you need to do this, you need to commit, you need to, you know what I mean? And it's like, I mean, of course, I never juggle two people, girl. So I don't know the tea, but I'm just like, is that really what people do? Like, because I guess I understand it. Like you don't know which one you want, but I just feel like, what's the point of like going so deep with two people? It's like, I think I would choose. I feel like I would want to choose one early on.
I do agree. Mind you, it was probably on day 7 when she did choose, so that's still early. Yeah. But I do think
only 10 days, so
I think that what it was. Well, I don't know, but I'm thinking there was parts of Mason that she would have liked. I think this is what it is, or at least this is how I vision it. With Mason, he has a lot of aspects that I would like if he would put it on the floor and he would be a little bit more aggressive and he would show me a little bit more of it. So she was trying to guide him. And she wasn't trying to guide Alex. She just liked Alex. She was trying to kind of guide Mason for a while because she probably liked a lot of his aspects a little more, but her connection with Alex was a little stronger. But after a while, she was like, I'm not going to keep guiding you, because that's what she ended up asking him. She was like, are you going to commit? And then he committed. And then she didn't really want him even after he committed.
Yeah.
And so she was like, ooh, sorry.
But that's why I feel so bad, because you really know she liked Alex because she was fighting for Alex. Like she was really putting a lot of work into that relationship. So it just sucks that like, girl, she almost proposed to him.
She did.
Damn near, it seemed like. And it's like, girl, he left you high and dry just because of Mason of all people.
It was real bad. Oh, it was real bad. But yes, her connection with Mason, I think I like Madison with anybody because she provides depth. And I feel like, no shade, Mason wouldn't have provided depth without it. So I did like her with that. But of course, we ended up getting into all the drama with Meg. And then it just didn't work out with Mason. She let Mason know it wasn't going to work. I'm sticking to Alex. And I was like, ooh, we're going to have another couple. I was like, Alex and Madison are going to be our sixth married couple. We're going to get it going. But the end of the show, baby, that was so crazy. It was crazy. And okay, because with Alex and Madison, they always had that issue with the love language. Was it the love language? What was it? The type. We took a test. What was the type?
Girl, I forgot the name of that already. That's crazy.
Fuck. The shit. Avoidant. She had attachment styles. Their attachment styles. They discussed it. And Madison is an avoidant attachment style. And Alex is something else, anxious attachment style. And Madison and Alex is very scared of that because he's like, all my exes have the avoidant attachment style. They don't like communicating and they don't like doing this. And I don't like that. Now, I am very similar to Alex in a lot of ways. So I think I understand every single thing he did. Alex is way too logical for his own good. He thinks with facts and evidence and prior knowledge. Prior knowledge trumps everything because he's an intellectual type of person. He's a logical type of person. So when she said she was avoidant, in his mind he went, my exes were avoidant, so was my other ex. Neither of those worked, so I don't know if this will work. And then he applied that to her, and she kept trying to say, I'm not them other bitches. But he wasn't getting it because in his mind is wired in a way to where he's just so logical. He's like, well, it didn't work with the other two avoidant people and they were avoidant and they act similar and there were similar type of situations. So with you, I just feel like you're going to be avoidant and it's not going to work. And Madison,
I will say, I feel like once they got into it more, like when she was explaining it, because she said she wasn't that person. But then I just like, as she started explaining it more, it seemed like, well, this is something that I'm working on myself. Like, you don't need to, like, I know you're not going to be, I don't expect you to be there for me. Like, I have this on my own. And then that on top of some of the story she was saying about happening with her family and things like that, I feel like it kind of left it open-ended that this would still be a problem.
I
Because
agree.
I can see how she thinks I have it all figured out. It's fine, but to me, I was like kind of reading through that a little bit, and I was like, you a little cracked, mama. And I definitely get it. You know, she's been through a lot, and that's what sucks because she told him so much about herself. Like rough childhood, girl. She said the parents never got married. Her mom was a drug addict, went to rehab, lost her stepdad to an overdose. Child, she's been cheated on multiple times. Child, it's just bad.
She had to take care of her mom when she was a child. They didn't care about her. She sent them an ultimatum. She said she sent them a letter and she was like, it's either me or the drugs, and they didn't choose her. So it's like she had a lot.
But I hate it because it's also kind of reinforcing that stereotype of like, you know, you have all of this baggage and I can't deal with this baggage. And it's like, I don't think you should hold people to that, but at the same time, the end goal of this show is for marriage. So it's like, I don't think they should have continued. Like it seemed like his reaction to that, it seemed like that was an issue the entire time, especially in the end conversation when they were talking about Mason. He kept bringing it up, like, "Oh, you're being avoidant. Oh, you're pushing away. Oh, you're isolating. You're not." That was going to be an issue throughout the relationship. He was going to throw it in her face every day. I mean, you said that you're avoiding me, girl. Calm down.
And she, to be honest, she was even her saying, "I'll handle it all on my own." That's a form of avoidance because if we're married, what do you mean? So
anytime anyone says that, it's not healthy. If a person tells you, "Oh, I figured I did this on my own. Like I'm fine. Like I don't need any help." Especially if they're actively going through something, girl, they're lying to themselves. Like you need help. Like sometimes you genuinely need help.
Yeah, you need some healing, and I think T. Fran says it best in the chat that Madison, she's been abandoned a lot, and their core wounds are triggered by each other. I do think so. Alex has trauma with people he kept saying it, not communicating, not telling me. And even in the last situation, we could just get to it because they have their last conversation, and she ends up bringing up the situation with Mason and how the situation with Mason made her upset. And his response was, well, Mason did have some points. You had some points, and Mason had some points as well. And she was like, okay.
Points.
And she kept like, and okay. And he just kept talking. He was like, yeah, I think where Mason's coming from is he was actually trying to, and this goes back to him being, I feel like, super logical. He's like, well, Mason was actually trying to just do the experiment because that's what we're here for, right? Like he was actually trying to just get with Meg and then try to vet her and then see how she was with you. And I think he actually probably liked you a lot. And this, and it's like, you're doing too much explaining. She didn't ask for an explanation. And I think that's his problem. He needs to learn that he doesn't need to explain everything because I do the same shit. I know his problem because I do the same shit. Somebody will come to me with a problem and I'll be like, well, the other person was making sense because they don't care about all that right now. Baby, I'm telling you because I need somebody.
I need to vent. But at the same time, too, like the issue with this is that not only was he explaining, he was basically defending him.
Yeah.
Like she was telling him that my feelings were hurt. He did this, and this. Mind you, he was playing her. Like it's hold on.
Because it was like a weird kind of. It was Mason didn't. I don't think Mason had evil, and that's Alex's problem. He's trying to defend Mason not being evil. That's not what Madison's talking about.
He's evil.
Exactly.
He wasn't transparent. Like I feel like Madison was very transparent that she was talking to two people and that she's not letting it affect her. And I feel like they weren't necessarily being fully transparent, especially with their feelings about it, because he was feeling Madison very heavy. He was promising her things. He was also promising things to Meg. And it's like promising these deeper things that could lead to marriage when you're talking to both of them for like this full time. Yeah, it's could be, it's hard. It's hurt. Damn, I can't talk today. I can see why it would hurt anyone's feelings because it's like, we've been having these deep conversations. I'm not talking to anyone but you. Yet you're having the exact same conversation with someone else. Like you're leading them on in a way. Like that's basically what it is.
Exactly. And he was not getting that. And I think this situation highlighted his worry because she was like, okay, sure. And then she got quiet. And he was like, okay, so how are you feeling about that? And then she said, I don't like that. I feel like instead you should have supported me. You should have said, oh, okay, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way because I'm feeling hurt and you're sitting here defending him when you could be basically comforting me. So she explains it after he asked. And then after that, it kind of gets awkward. And he's like, well, I mean, you got to give me something so I can work with it. I think he's just, I'm trying to figure it out and get a solution and hurry up. And
like,
no one can do that.
What did we just talk about? Like, it's like you're trying to change the subject and you're trying to say she's being avoided. And it's like, well, girl, okay, give me some time.
Give me some
Because
time.
like throughout the conversation, like I said, he showed up defending him. Like he brought up some story that Mason told him about. That you talked to Meg and it really screwed him over and da da da. And it's like, girl, that isn't even what fully happened. One, and it's like you don't know the full story from Mason. And he says that later, like I wasn't there. And it's like, yeah, you wasn't there. So you're trying to defend him. You're defending him versus the girl that you've been talking to this entire time that you claim that you want to be with. It's like it doesn't make any sense how fast he jumped to try and be like, oh no, like he was okay. And I'm thinking, like, was that his fear of like her communication style? Like, did he feel like, oh, she's only feeling this way because of her miscommunication style?
Yeah,
and if I get with her, it's gonna be the same thing. Like, I'm not doing something that serious. And it's like, no, Mason was playing. Mason was lying. Like, he literally told her that he loves her and want to be with her. And then when she broke up with him, he said, oh, I didn't mean to say that. That's not with her. It's like, you don't know everything that went down. So it's like the fact that he really did that in her face is crazy. And then, like you say, he tried to change the subject. And it's like, well, no. Like, you just invalidated all of my feelings in this situation just to defend your friend. Like, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't think they work together well, because I do feel like a part of this is just personality traits at this point. I think Alex is always going to try to be illogical and I'm going to look at all sides. He said it to her in the pause. I'm going to look at all sides. I'm going to try to figure it out. I don't think that's what Madison needs all the time. And I feel like that's something that he's going to try to do every time and then try to also give her what she needs. But it's like, the way Madison is and the way that he is, I don't think it meshes, because also Madison is not the type of person to have to want to talk to you immediately after a situation. And that was the second part of this issue, is that he's like, I'm worried that we won't have good communication and you will shut down and you won't try to talk. And she's like, I can't promise you that there won't be a time where I will need 5 minutes to walk away, where I will not want to speak to you after this situation. There probably are going to be times like that. And if that's what you need, I mean, I can't promise that. And he's like, well, if you're not giving, and he's worried because he's like, well, if you can't give me that reassurance. And she's like, I mean, I can say I can try my best, but I cannot promise.
And as someone who does that, my girl, I will shut down real bad. I will. It's like, I can understand where the issue will come from Alex's point of view. Like, I think that, like, if I'm being honest, from watching it, I did not think Madison was reassuring enough that she was not that person anymore. And the thing is, there's no issue with her being that person. She's still learning. She has a lot of trauma from past situations. So it's like, I don't blame her for being like this. It's a defense mechanism. She has her walls up and she has to learn to bring those down. I just think that maybe she thought that she was ready. But I know she also mentioned that, she just broke up with someone like 2 years ago. And it's like, well, maybe, you shouldn't have came on Love is Blind, girl. Maybe it wasn't the time. You know what I mean? So I understand why Alex was, hesitant. But the weird thing was the way he was defending Mason. That just didn't make any real sense to me, because you defended him, which led her to shut down. And then you were like, well, this is the problem. This is why I can't be with you. It's like, well, girl, you kind of caused this. I don't know. Like, look how you're acting.
Child. But yeah, they didn't end up together. They agreed they shouldn't move forward. It wasn't going to work. None of these people ended up moving forward. So we won't be seeing them moving forward. I know that's
and it's sad. Like they said in the chat, wasted all of our time.
Did. Next we have finally some color.
Is this the last couple?
No.
Oh God, that's a lot this time.
It is. Devin and Brittany and Devin.
This won't be long because they showed them for all the 2 minutes, girl.
And that's no shade. Truly, we can talk about Devin and Brittany first, because they kind of had a totally different situation than him and Virginia.
Loved Brittany, loved her so
I
much.
love Brittany.
Great energy. Oh my gosh, she's rocking this blue dress too. Come on, mama.
Gorgeous.
And Virginia is also really pretty. Like, oh my God, like gorgeous. He lucked out. He really lucked out. He got 2 of the baddest bitches on the cast, and this
he did.
Hey.
And I like his personality. I feel like he's one of the other people, similar to how I felt about Madison and a little about Sarah. I think he is serious about this. Like he's like he told Virginia. I hate to skip forward. I'm gonna skip forward. I'm not gonna skip forward too long. But he told Virginia, he was like, Virginia, we have to actually talk about real shit if I'm gonna ask you to marry me. Period. So I like that. I think he's about his business. He wants to
Who
get
does
to the
he
nitty
look
gritty.
like? I feel like he looks like somebody.
Do you think so?
Yes, I don't
I don't
know.
know. Maybe I'll keep it on the lookout for the next drop because I don't know. All right. But I didn't see him with Brittany because I felt like it was giving brother sister for me the whole
For
time.
real.
With
No,
the
it gave brother sister.
it did. It
It
did.
did very much like you my home girl,
Yeah.
but
And
you my
sometimes we
home
could
girl.
type shit.
Very much. Didn't they both say it was basketball? Girl, it's giving much loving basketball, mama.
Yeah. It was. I kind of feel like I could be wrong, but I always feel like if someone's too similar, I felt the same way about Mason and Meg. Like this, I don't think it's gonna work because there needs to be a balance. You got kind of have to balance each other out. Both of y'all play basketball. Both of y'all are basketball coaches. Both of you. Virginia said it. She's like, that's a lot of basketball in one household. And
Girl, Virginia was mad. I'm sorry.
She was being mad. She was being a
Virginia
hater.
was very mad with that statement.
But it was kind of true. Like, I don't know. It could work, obviously.
Yeah, and I agree. I
think
got the
there needs to be a
friendship
balance.
energy. I just feel like for them to like kind of hit it off so easily, I'm like, y'all maybe should try this. Like, I don't think he bonded with Virginia as much as Brittany. Like, it's for
I do
Devin,
agree with
and
that.
I like Devin as well. I feel like it was kind of similar to like Mason, where it was like, I'm leaving here with something. Like, if
You
it
know
don't
what?
work out with
You
Brittany,
might
because
be.
I just feel like we didn't get much of them, but it seemed like we got so much depth with him and Brittany's relationship,
I agree.
and it wasn't until they ended it where he committed himself to Virginia. Like, that always makes me feel iffy because it's like as soon as one relationship ends, and the same day you're now all of a sudden committed to this next person, it's like that's what Meg was talking about. It's like now you're committed because the other person shut you down, and you shouldn't want that. That means you're the sloppy seconds, mama.
I agree. I do agree. I feel like him and Brittany did connect more, in my opinion. I feel like they had way more, but just bonding moments. Every time they were on the screen, I was like, "Ooh, this could be something." I really do understand why it
I
ended up
love their
not
energy
working out.
together. Like, and maybe it's because they're black. It was the only conversation I paid attention to. When I
Amen.
tell you, I
It's
was
definitely because they're black for me.
so many times I had to pick up my phone and scroll, but
Amen.
with the black people got on the screen, seat it down.
Amen.
Too bad it was only
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, I loved it. I really liked him and Brittany together, though. I really did, and I was fucking with it. They had so much in common. And then he got to his big moment, his one moment that they gave him because they did not show them, no shade. But he got to his big moment where he wanted to basically reveal information about himself. He's like, "Look, I want to get a little deeper. I want to tell you something deep about myself." And he tells his story about how
But
he
hold
used to be
on,
a
I'm
basketball
sorry.
player and what happened.
I like that. Also with Brittany, the deepness came naturally. I feel. Like Virginia wasn't really getting into that, and I just feel like in the pods you should be as open as honest as possible because there's going to be so many issues that happens outside of it if you don't fully know the person that you're talking to.
Yeah.
So I feel like I just like him and Brittany just really naturally flowed. Like, I liked it.
I feel like it was a Virginia problem because I feel like even when they did get deep, Devin had to pry it out of her. And I don't think that they don't have chemistry. Devin and Virginia, I don't think they don't have chemistry. Like, I think they have some type of chemistry. It's just if Virginia was more, it's kind of like last season with Taylor and Garrett, how both of them were about their business. That's why they ended up getting married and it worked. We need both parties to be open, honest about it, trying to figure each other out, or else I don't think it's going to work. And I think that was the problem with Virginia. She was not on that type of time, and Devin was trying to be. So they didn't really get anywhere because he was doing all of that with Brittany, and she was reciprocating it. So I agree. I just feel like him and Brittany, that's something I could see maybe making it past. Him and Virginia, I don't see it because they didn't open up enough. They're going to find some shit out during this next stage, and they probably going to get confused. And it's like, y'all didn't get deep enough. But we move. But yes. So he opens up to Brittany about this story of his back. He had back problems while playing basketball, and it got so bad to where he couldn't stand and he felt a sharp pain, which is crazy, by the way. The bodies can get crazy. And so he felt like nothing was working when he was going to the doctor. So he felt like he needed to push through it. So he was taking hella ibuprofen. taking more than a dose because it says no more than 4 a day, and he was doing what
That's scary.
quadruple that,
And
like he's a horse.
and
That's
it's like
crazy.
he said he was doing it basically because he didn't want to stop, right? It's like,
Yeah,
damn, I definitely understand it. I definitely understand it, but I think it's very easy for like people to really just like neglect going to the doctor and stuff like that. And I'm a
hmm
victim of that as well. But like sometimes you really have to go
yeah,
and let them tell you what is wrong with you, because sometimes like you never know how serious it is.
yeah. It's very sad. And he said because he said the first or second time he went, they didn't find anything wrong, so he stopped going, and then he just tried to medicate it himself. And it's like that's another unfortunate reality. Sometimes your doctor does not know what's going on.
Yes, that
So
is
so
so
you have to
scary.
find a new doctor, and then that doctor doesn't work. So you have to find a new doctor. And I know that's scary because when you think of a doctor, you think of someone who you can put your full total trust in and you're going to help me find my problem. But honestly, at the end of the day, that's not true. They just went to school and studied. And after they went to shit, might not have even studied. They just went to school and got a
Bro.
degree, and now they're a doctor. So it's like you have to find the right one,
I don't know.
which is sad.
I don't know where I read somewhere that like the doctors be Googling in the back
Yep, they
type
do.
shit, which I feel like makes sense because it's like, I mean, medical school is a lot. Is a lot. I watch Grey's
Yes,
Anatomy, bitch.
yes.
So
It
you
could
got to
be
do a lot of
anything.
work. There's no way you retained all of that fucking information. Like, you're not gonna just know that this is something internal unless like you're really, really searching. So
Mhm.
that is terrifying. I feel like that's one of my irrational fears, like
They
being
not knowing.
misdiagnosed, because that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is.
Like something else could be happening that's life
Yep,
ending,
yep.
and you don't know.
And even on Grey's Anatomy, there's times they have to ask the other doctor because they don't know, or another doctor comes in and it's like, "Girl, that wasn't right. It was this," and it's like they're doing surgery on people. Y'all don't even know what the fuck the problem is. So it makes sense that he went to people, they didn't find it, and he gave up because it's like, how the fuck you don't know? You the doctor. And it already takes a lot of energy to go to a doctor in the first place. And then when you go, they don't know the fucking answer. So now
Yeah.
you're fucking mad. So
And
I,
that's
I
why
get it. I
you have
totally
to
get it.
do the work, and it's like,
Yep.
'cause there's been a few times I'm like, "Girl, this is not gonna work. Let me switch physicians. Let me
Yep.
switch this. Let me switch that." Because
Yep.
some people just don't know what they're talking about for real, and they do not
Yep.
work well with you.
Yep. Or that, yeah, they don't know what you're going through, and then someone else did. There was a situation I was having, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And the first doctor I talked to didn't know. The second doctor I talked to didn't know. It wasn't until I got to a therapist, and they were like, "Oh, okay, actually, I had something going on with me physically with this." I'm like, "You're not even a doctor." Well, you are, but a different kind. It was just, it's crazy. It's crazy. Anybody can find the problem. But yes, and so he said eventually he started looking towards God. Amen.
Period.
And after that, he was like, you know what? Let me go to the doctor one more time. And when he did, he found out what was going on. He got surgery, and then he was better. But that was just a big event in his life, a big struggle that he went through. And he was crying. It was a
Really
deep
deep
moment.
moment. It's like I said, I loved their chemistry together, and the way she responded to it, it was just like
Yes.
I loved it so much.
She was uplifting him
They were
so,
so
so
cute. I wanted
good.
them to make it. I wanted them to make it. I wanted them to make it.
hmm And so this next situation. Oh, this is a hard conversation that
God.
Brittany had to have, and she even opened it up by saying that she hasn't told a lot of people at all. She barely told anybody about this situation. So she's opening up to him, and she's like, "Well, look, with my sexuality, there have been some dabbles and
Mhm.
some dibbles, and that
Yeah.
her last situation was with a woman, and that woman felt like they could be together forever, they could get married, but Brittany didn't really ever see herself marrying and starting a family with a woman. She found that, that would work better with the man. And so she lets him know this information, and he has to process it. He has to take it in. He has to kind of figure out how he feels. And he says like that he doesn't have a problem with it, but he has to process it. He has to take some time to kind of understand what's going on. And she's honest, and she's like, honestly, I wish I got a different response. I wish you would have just immediately been able to kind of be like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Lee, what
'Cause
you
it's
think?
like this was her first time opening up about her sexuality in this way, especially to a partner, and it's like, you
Yes.
do it like that, it's like, ugh, and you don't accept it. 'Cause I feel like like that's a very negative, stereotype, I think, with bisexual people. Like, I think the assumption is that they're gonna cheat with more people.
Yeah.
Like, there's more competition to deal with. As a
Yeah.
man, you can't really compete with a woman. So it's like, if she chooses to wake up and be like, well, I love women, then you're out of the picture. But it's
Hmm.
like, I just think that's like, you can't go into every situation like that. Like, you cannot box people in, because if it's
Yeah.
the right person, it's gonna work out. But I know,
Yeah.
like, I've even been like, um I've had some of the same ignorancy towards it. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I feel like I wouldn't seek out someone who claims that they're bisexual, but I feel like going into Love Is Blind, even if I feel like they're on the outside, I don't think that would change my opinion on the inside. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
vibing with you and I like you, this is so like magical when I speak to you,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter if you're bisexual. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that is a very shallow thing that matters on the outside, but
Yeah.
not necessarily within this experiment. However,
Yeah.
I will say, from Devin's point of view, because when this is the point I wanted to discuss, because she says that she couldn't marry a woman.
Hmm.
And could that come from an internalized homophobia type of thing? Because
Yeah.
in the world, it's heteronormativity is pushed everywhere, because that is what the majority claim they are. But we live in a heteronormativity society. So as far as like a traditional family, a man's supposed to be with a woman.
Right.
You have your kids, you have your, white picket fence and things like that. Like, that
Right.
is the norm. People see that as normal. That's why there is so much hate towards the LGBT community, specifically right now, because they
Yeah.
go against those social norms.
Yeah.
And I can see, as someone who is gay, growing up in that lifestyle, that you feel accustomed to those things, because I have had the same experiences. Like, even as gay people, we have to learn to break out of the box of heteronormativity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just because you grew up seeing that, oh, one's supposed to be masculine, the other has to be feminine, that doesn't need to be the case. And that boxes a lot of people in. Like, you see a lot of gays in the gay community who are like, I need mass DL trade. Like, and I see like a lot of ignorant posts
Hmm.
about, oh yeah, I don't want a gay man that make being gay his personality. Gay men are
Yeah.
saying this. Oh, I
Yep.
don't want someone that is too gay. It's like, you just want a masculine man because you see
Yep.
that as heteronormative. And it's like, that's not, you don't have to strive for that. So
Yep.
I feel like her saying that she couldn't marry a woman and that she feel like it has to work with a man, that could come from that place. And it's like, I can see how Devin would be like, well, basically you would do it if you felt like it was more normalized. Like, I
Yeah.
can see how that POV is like drawn from that. Cause it's like,
Hmm.
why don't you think marriage could work with a woman?
I agree.
Basically, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But
It
see,
was very.
I would like to hear her more thoughts on that. Like, is there something like, is it because you want to conceive naturally? Is it because but like,
Yeah.
I wonder what those values are, because
Yeah.
you could experience that with a woman.
Exactly. I do think it can come from internalized homophobia, but also like as a bisexual person, pansexual person, I do feel like I understand Brittany's perspective, but even more so, I understand Devin's. Obviously, there's a very big issue with biphobia and people feeling like it's infidelity that's going to occur or non-monogamy that's going to occur, and they had to clear that up, which is that part is weird, but on the sense of are you just going to eventually be fully gay? I feel like that's a totally different conversation because bisexuality and pansexuality, that's the more, I feel like that's very hard for the person experiencing it to understand. It took me a long time to understand my sexuality because it's not something being gay, it's like it's kind of easier because it's like, oh, I just like boys. I get it. It's easy. And then same with kind of being straight. It's like, okay, it's just one situation. I can see how Brittany was confused and I can see how she could still be confused to this day, which is hard for
Mhm.
Devin because she, to be frank, she sounded confused.
She
When
did, and
when she
it's no
when
shade.
she explained it, she did not sound like she was sure whether she was gay, whether she was bi, whether she was not. And it probably is because she is bi, and being bisexual is very confusing. There was a stage that I had that I was like, oh, I think I would marry a woman. Now I'm past that stage, but it's like she seems like she's still at that stage. So it's like you're fresh to this. You haven't even told people about this. You've only had a few situations with women. You don't feel like you can marry a woman. She hasn't. I don't think she's grown enough within her sexuality to fully commit to a marriage at this point. I don't think it's healthy for her to proceed with a marriage because she doesn't fully understand her sexuality. She could be gay, and it could be societal pressures that is hindering her from understanding her full sexuality because, to be honest, she's old. She's like a little older. For her to just now be experimenting.
What?
No, let me tell you why. Because for her to just now be experimenting now, there's no way you've had enough time to fully conceptualize how you feel with your sexuality because you haven't this is the first man you've told just now, and you've just now had this real experience with a woman. So it's like, girl, you just started. You're a baby gay, honey. Like, you're a baby LGBT. You don't really have a full concept of how you feel and what you think and what your real sexuality is. She might not even be bi. She could be pan, she could be fully gay, she could be straight. She don't know. Like, it's a lot that she has to figure out since she's new to it, since she's just now discovering it, which she said. And I can see how with Devin, it's like, well, I don't even know. I don't even think you know your
girl,
full.
she is 34.
I'm not
old. I'm thinking she in her 40s.
Not old in terms of her actually being old. As in it's been a long time and you just now are realizing your sexuality, which means you're a little bit behind the curve, honey. You're 34. Just now realizing you might be bi, maybe, and maybe can't date a woman, maybe can marry. Like, come on now. So I just feel like she's a little behind with that. So I feel like she needs to explore that a little more before she's on Love Is Blind trying to get married.
Yeah,
truthfully. But I like her a lot.
Like you see that, like I feel like you see that a lot, even in society. Like now, it's like, especially back then, like those traditional values were like really, really strong. And 2025, even with all the ignorance going on, like we're still very much open. Like we're still way more open as a society than we were fucking 10 years ago. So you see a lot of women who were in these heteronormative relationships, they leave them and they do go be with women because it's like, I never wanted this lifestyle. I only pretended so I could, get through life easier. And that's why I think a lot of times, like, you see the older generation, like, being confused why the younger generations are so open and so free. And it's because people don't want to live their life unhappy. Y'all are in unhappy situations because you feel like it's quote unquote normal.
Yes.
Like, I'm not about to do that.
Lee, you know what? Like, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been seeing, because it's gonna be prom season. I've been seeing promposals with gay people, and it's like the whole school is celebrating, or there's a bunch of people around him, and I'm like, like it was these black boys, and they were doing a promposal, and all their friends was like, yes, and I was like, oh,
no, because I love seeing that, because I feel like when we were in high school, which was like, I mean, not even that long ago for real.
Yeah, not even.
It wasn't as like open like that, and it's like you see so many people like in the younger generation really expressing themselves. So yeah, I enjoy seeing that.
It's so cute. Like, it refreshes me. It really does. Even hearing from people who are still in high school or middle school and how they're talking about how they're able to just openly deal with boys and girls, or they're able to just openly deal with people of the same gender, and no one in the school is really batting so much of an eye. It used to be an issue or a problem, or you could get bullied, or you're getting isolated, or but now it's more so like they just do it and everybody knows that's the thing and no one really cares. And of course, with society, the people who kind of are bigots transition to the next worst thing. So now trans people in school are getting a lot of hate and a lot of ignorant things. Non-binary people are getting a lot of that weight. But I guess at least we can celebrate the fact that at least people can be gay a little bit easier than they were 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But so Brittany breaks it off with Devin before he really does, and then he goes and he talks to Virginia, and no shade, like, this was really their first deep conversation, because with Virginia it was very surface level for the most part, like just ABC getting to know each other.
Like, there's not many notes on their relationship at all. Like, there was not much going on. And to be fair, like we said, the blacks were not shown, but like even in the things we did see, like in the little we saw between Brittany and Devin, it was like so much. And I feel like with Virginia, it just wasn't giving off like that.
Yeah, it was not. But he ends up telling her the same story, and it's almost like, I I mean, you telling her after you told Brittany a little more
I
naturally.
also didn't love her response to it either. Like she kind of like I don't know. Virginia's she's interesting. She's really
She
interesting.
has a guard. She has a guard up. It's so big. So where it's like
It's a guard where it's like I don't know. Like it's so like it's not like I feel like usually it's not as like aggressive as you usually see like people's guards up. Like it's like I don't know. Like she'll just like not respond to something. I feel like she just like I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. Like I don't know how to explain her personality. It's very interesting.
No, it is different. It is very different. Because he tells her the same story, and she kind of is like, "Oh my god, that's so sad. Like that's strong of you." And then she doesn't really say, I don't know. And Brittany's first response was, "I want to open up to him now." Like, oh my god, she uplifted him, and she was like, "I want to open up to him." And Virginia kind of just was
it's like I don't even know if that is like walls up. Like I'm just like, is she not? I don't know. Like.
Because I say that because
not processing what he said. I don't know.
He asked. He basically after that he was like, "Well, look, I mean, if we're gonna be official and it's gonna be us, you have to open up to me. You can't not open up to me for real. Like you have to do something." And she's like, "Well, I'm just nervous about it." And he's like, "Okay, well, you know, the next step is engagement and then marriage. So if you're gonna be nervous, I still need to know everything about you." And she mentions not having like good examples of love in her past because the past people she was with were like gaslighting her and they weren't really like giving her what she needed. And I guess she says she guesses she had a guard up ever since then, or she's been like a little closed off since then. And it's like maybe that's what it is. But we don't know, and neither does Devin, because she doesn't really explain it. She doesn't even go into depth. She doesn't even say what the people did. She kind of just says, "Oh, they picked me apart. Oh, they did this." It's like, tell us a story or tell him a story.
Yeah,
because you're getting engaged.
It's very surface level. Like I just wish we knew more about her.
Yeah, I agree. But eventually, of course, since he broke up with Brittany, him and Virginia are gonna get married. So he eventually proposes, and he reads her a letter. The letter was really cute. He wrote her a letter.
I feel like the men planned this letter shit. Why was there so many letters going around?
There was a lot of letters.
Like, damn, y'all can't talk.
I think the producers plan it because I think the producers give them like notebooks and like pencils, and it's like write them down. So, but yeah, he reads her this letter. It was a cute letter, and it felt like he really cared. But I'm like, I just didn't see the connection personally.
No, because the thing is, like I said, it didn't feel like he got serious about it until he found out about the Brittany thing. Like this is very much like I said, I'm leaving here with something. That's what it gives me.
Yeah. But boom, they get engaged, and then they eventually meet as well. I like how they look together. I will say, I like how they look together.
No, really, really cute couple. Really, really cute.
Yeah.
But it was so cute when they hugged because you could hear their heartbeats. I was like, love is blind.
That was cute.
This interaction was so funny to me. And it's like seeing what we saw in the pods and these interactions, I was like, this girl is interesting. Like there's something about her that's like, what is that? Because he's like showering her in compliments. Like he's like, "Oh my god, you're so beautiful. You smell so good." Like, "Oh my god, da, 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 da." And she's just like, "Thank you. Thank you."
I thought she was nervous.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, but it's like, girl, you were nervous in the pods. You nervous now. Is she gonna be nervous all the way to the marriage? But this, I'm just like, I don't like. It's thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you.
And I really don't get her.
I appreciate that. Like he's like, yeah, I'm really happy I got to see you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's like he can say anything like, "Oh, you know, I wanna make. I just, you know, you're just so great. Like, oh my god, like you're exactly what I imagined." Yeah, I appreciate that. And then she's like, "I was weird. Like, I don't know. Like, women out there, I don't know. Was it giving? She's not feeling it. She said she was nervous, so that's the first reason. I didn't feel like that was nervousness. I was like, was she not feeling it? I was like, is she a little tipsy? Is she being flirty? Like, was this kind of, cause I feel like she kind of had like the little the lighter voice going on.
I thought
like,
she was just nervous.
Yeah.
Well,
or was she like
I don't
high? Like it was giving edible a little bit. Like, cause she kept looking down and she would look up. Like she was not looking him in the eye. She was not looking him in the eye.
Maybe she wasn't feeling him. Maybe she felt like he wasn't up to stand. Cause she is, let's be frank. She's gorgeous. Yeah. She looks amazing. 10 out of 10. He looks great too. You know? So maybe she was like, "Oh, Yeah.
I'm just
But
interested
I
to see
don't know.
how deep they're gonna go moving forward. And then I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested because she says that her family thinks she's on a spiritual retreat. And he was basically like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, my family think the same thing. Like, they are going to be so shocked when I
Yeah.
bring home a
This
wife."
is spiritual in a way.
It's definitely spiritual, but
Our
girl, you
spirits.
supposed to go find God,
God.
not a
This is
man.
what God showed me. I did find God. He showed me her.
He
Child,
led
but
me to him. Amen.
amen. But we'll see how they go moving forward. Let's get to this last couple, honey. Running through bed,
Girl,
huh?
this true crime story, girl. So,
Girl.
y'all, on TikTok, for some reason, every time I lay to bed, I scroll through TikTok, I be getting these true crime stories. And they just
When
be
it
so
hit a certain
intense
time.
and unresolved mysteries and shit like that. And I'm like, this is what this is fucking giving.
Yes, honey. Child. Now, no shade. Before we get to the true crime story, I'm glad they're last because they were just as bad as Joey and Monica. Not a connection in sight.
Every time
Nothing
they
from
showed
what
them,
we
I'm like,
saw.
who are they?
Like who I kept having to remember, but I think it's because I don't know if it's because they didn't. Well, they did show them here and there, but I feel like maybe they didn't show us their deep conversations or they didn't have any because the only ones I remember is her talking about how her dad is currently sick and she's worried that she might have to leave mid experiment because he's sick and she needs to go help him. And he was very, very sweet with that response because he was like, I want you to know that if you gotta leave and you have to leave the experiment, I want you to trust that I'll come find you. Ooh, now that I'm thinking about that, does that go into the true crime of it all? Because he
Girl,
says, I promise I'll
I
find
will
you
find you.
if you have to leave for your daddy. And that was a big moment for her. That moment made her feel a deep connection to him.
Mind you,
Child.
he already knew her daddy was sick.
Right. And he knows exactly where to
See,
find her. See, and then there's also this moment that they exchanged gifts, and this was really big for him because he gives her a stocking with a letter of his initial. It's like a tradition, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a tradition. Is a tradition of us with this exact stocking." And she's like, "Oh, I already have this exact stocking."
Ooh. And it
And
was
he's
a
like,
lot of things
"Honey."
surrounding Christmas too,
Yeah,
girl.
she gave him an ornament, and she's like, "It's so funny we gave each other Christmas spirit and stuff because it's February." And he's like, "Oh, I
Mm.
just love Christmas." She's like, "Oh, you love
Girl, no,
Christmas."
because I literally thought she was making it up, but girl, this is
Mhm.
getting spooky
Hmm.
ooky.
Because the only thing I know from what Taylor said is that they have so much in common, and it's like the Christmas thing. I guess other shit they talked about that they didn't show or I didn't pay attention to. No shade, and
Girl.
then we got to the true crime of
The
it all.
FBI need to get on this, girl. This feels
Yeah.
like a Ryan Murphy documentary because like it's giving the Xmas killer. The Xmas stalker. Like, I don't know. The Christmas, I don't know. Like, this is the Grinch. He's the Grinch
He's literally the Grinch. Well, no, the Grinch is a good man.
by the end.
He's the mayor. Anyways, but yes, oh, and then lastly, they write this letter to each other, and they both just so happen wrote letters to each other. I feel like that was more so like, okay, of course that'll happen. That happens a lot. But still, she just felt like, oh my God, everything is the same with us. And then he proposes, and all is good at first, and then they meet. And when they meet, she doesn't say it in the moment.
Mhm.
But eventually we found out that when she saw him, she slightly might have thought she recognized him, but she was like, "Oh, maybe it's just his voice."
Mhm.
Da, 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 da,
And
da,
I
da.
low-key, I was like, I think she think he a little ugly too, because she was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just still putting together the face and the
Yes.
mannerisms. Like, I'm not really used to it yet." And
And,
it's
and
like,
he is pretty
girl,
short. They was pretty close in height, no shade, because he
yeah,
is short, and I think he was insecure about being short.
he was like, a lot of girls have issues with short kings.
Yes, maybe not a king, maybe a star. But yes, so we get the meeting, they're happy for now. And then boom, they show us Taylor sitting on a bed. I'm like, what is this? What happened?
Can I
I
just
thought she
say,
had to leave. I thought
girl,
something happened with her dad.
girl, it got real. The music even changed. Like,
It
Netflix
did.
is nasty for this editing. A part of me really hope Taylor is cracked enough to keep going with the experiment because I need to see more. I need to see more. I don't know, but she has to be dead after this. Like, there's no way. Like, especially now that we went through it, girl. The dots are connecting.
Lee, I don't think she's done with this.
Ooh, that's gonna be gaggy.
I think she's gonna keep up with this. The reason I say that is because I think we have 5 married couples, And I'm like, would they go with this? I mean, not that they had control, but last season they said that multiple couples get married as well, and they just don't show everyone. They choose a select
Which is
5.
very interesting.
So I'm like, well, they wouldn't have chose them knowing that. Oh well, I guess they would
They
have
would
chose
have
them
though. They did that
beforehand.
with David and Brittany last season. What was it? David and Brittany?
Leo, right? Wait,
Leo.
no.
Girl, why don't I know anyone's name?
And I don't think her name was Brittany. Oh yes, it was Leo and Brittany. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So maybe. But then that would just leave us with 4 couples going into the next stage, which is like seems like
That
not a
does
lot at
seem
all.
like a little. But I mean, I guess we'll
But
see.
hey, maybe it does. Maybe she does leave.
But also from the preview, it looks like, well, we saw this last season too. The other people who get like cut off, they're gonna come in. But it
Oh,
seems like they're
true.
gonna be really big parts of this season.
True. So she tells the camera. She's like, and she's really dramatic about it, and I hate to say it, but
She sold it, mama.
A part of me feels like, girl, are you just trying to have a moment? Like, not trying to have a moment, but like, she just seems like a dramatic girl. She seems like a dramatic girl.
But also, we don't know much about her because she didn't share much in the pods. Neither did he. So it's like, I don't know.
Like,
I wasn't expecting anything from her. So the
Like,
fact that she's giving this storyline, it's like, come on, mama. She said, I'm going to be relevant. Okay. I don't know what I think this is.
I'm gonna provide something. But she was like, yes. When I saw Daniel come out of the elevator, not the elevator, the thing, I felt like something is so familiar about him. And at first I thought it was the voice, and I was just putting the voice to the name, but I'm almost positive that he followed me before the show. And
she's like, I just have all of these specific things like Christmas, my highlights. People share their entire life story on Instagram sometimes. So she's like, girl, did he like know that and specifically try to bond with me over these things?
Right.
Like, did he know what I looked like this entire time?
And she's like, and this is why I think she's cracked and a little crazy. Because she's like, I specifically remember there's this image that keeps popping up in my brain over and over again. And it's up on his Instagram. He has a post and he's wearing a blue sweater and he's in front of a Christmas tree and he's holding a cup and his legs are crossed. And that's the moment I was like, okay, you're a little crazy.
No, I was like,
because no way you remember a specific image of a man from months ago.
Girl, maybe she got a photographic memory. And I will say this right here is where I was like, she has to be reaching. I said, girl, if I was a producer, I would have put up Instagram real quick. Let's get to the bottom of this, girl. Let's really see, because I want to know the tea. But I was like, right here, I was like, girl, you're reaching. You're reaching because, like, first of all, he followed you. First of all, you remember this. You remember that some random man followed you and then unfollowed you.
Right.
And you believe this man is Daniel.
Right.
That would mean that Daniel knew you were going on Love is Blind.
Right.
Like, do you assume that he was that much in the stalker zone that he knew you was going? Or maybe that he saw you, thought you were cute, watched the video, learned your voice, and just seeked you out in the pods. And
but
that
then
when
he also got
you
on
in the pods, he used all of the things he learned about you to get to know you. I just feel like that does seem like a big reach. It does.
It's like, it's not realistic. I don't think it's realistic. Maybe he did, but that's the thing. She said he followed her and then unfollowed her. I guess there's a world that what she's saying is true. But there's also a world where he doesn't even remember what the fuck she's talking about. Maybe he did follow her and unfollow her, but he doesn't remember her. Or he doesn't.
If he did follow her, it's like
even if he did do that, there's a chance he didn't remember any of that, and he didn't it doesn't mean that he intentionally seeked her out and knew exactly what she looked at. Everybody not worried about. Everybody doesn't have a photographic memory either. If he did follow and then unfollow, why would he remember everything about you unless he intentionally did it? So I just feel like even if she's even if he did follow her, she's over analyzing it a bit.
I think she may be too. It is. Like, if that is him,
right?
It is a huge coincidence.
Now, why should that not even be him, child? Why should it
not even be him?
He go home, she pull it up, it's a whole nother nigga.
The girls in the chat saying that they saw her in a wedding dress in the preview. 2 people said that. So I'm like, so maybe she is overthinking it, and then when she get home, she's like, oh, it wasn't even you.
Because don't they get their phones in the next stage or something like that?
I think it's after the vacation, right?
It's after the vacation, so she could fact check that. So if they stay together, like she could just be like, you know what, I'm doing too much. We'll see later on because we get our phones. They stay, she get her phone. She's like, oh, it wasn't you. Oops,
Or
and then
did
they
he
move forward.
change it?
Or did he change it? But I guess they get their phones
Girl,
at the same.
block
But
that.
also, she does say in this moment because she ends up talking to him, and she calls him out, and she's like, well, look, I couldn't sleep last night because you are very familiar, and he was like, okay. And she tells him the story. I also feel like what?
Girl, you know why he looked familiar?
Everybody
All
look
these
alike.
white men look alike.
I was thinking the same.
Every white man in Minneapolis look like this, clearly.
And I do think that's what it is. But also, I didn't think his responses were that suspicious either. Like, just imagine if
he was confused.
Because this is the thing. If he intentionally did all of this, when she called him out, he would have been way more gagged and gooped. She said, I couldn't sleep last night. He was like, why? She was like,
I don't know.
I found you very familiar.
Well, that's the thing. You have to realize, like, for him to be doing all of this, she thinks he is a psychopath stalker.
That's true.
And them people, they don't be showing emotion. They be very much like, what's happening? I don't know. I didn't do that. I don't know where you live and what you wore and what you ate this morning. And
child.
But it is kind of, because like if it's not, even if like let's say it's not him, let's say she found out it's not him. It's very interesting that you went with this entire story, mama. Like this is a red flag. If it's not him, Daniel you have to see this as a red flag. This girl just accused you of being the biggest stalker ever.
Yep. That's scary.
Oh, and
then why does her mind go to, because once again, even if he did follow and unfollow, so all she remembered was he followed and unfollowed me. And that turned into he's a full-blown stalker, because it could have just been coinkydink. Even if it's an issue. It's a red flag. It's a red flag. She needs to stop. So he's basically like, look, I did not follow you. And if I did, I don't know why I would have unfollowed you either. Like, I don't know why I would have done any of that. And she's like, I'm fairly confident it was you. Didn't you have a picture with you? Didn't you have a picture of you in front of a Christmas tree and you were wearing blue and your leg was crossed and you was holding a cup? And he was like, no. I think I have a picture in front of maybe a fireplace. And that's another thing. It seemed like he was trying to help her out. I'm like, he wouldn't be trying to help you out if he was guilty. Because he was like, no, I think there is a picture of me and there's a fireplace and I'm in front of something. And I had a cup, maybe like that, but I don't remember following you and unfollowing you at all. And she is very certain. And he is very confused. And that's where we end the show.
That's where it ends, child. I'm kind of hoping it was him. Like that unfollow her, because I need that drama. Yeah. But it'll be also interesting because if she still chooses to go to a vacation with him, it's like, well, is that just going to be in the back of your mind until you get the phone? Like, they have no way to confirm it right now. So
maybe she knows she's a little delusional sometimes. So she's like, you know what? Maybe I'm being a little delusional again.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But that was the first drop, honey.
That was the first drop, girl. We was here for a minute.
We did go through a whole quadruple situation, and none of them are
more couples than last season, huh?
Yeah, because we didn't talk about any couple that didn't make it except Leo and Brittany, and they were connected to Hannah and Nick. So it was only like the couples moving forward we ended up talking about. We talked about 4 people who not even moving forward,
literally.
So
it was good. Like, I will say, like, y'all, yes, there's a lot of qualms with this season. It's very quite interesting. It starts off very slow. Like I said, I would suggest watching at least episodes 4 through 6.
I agree.
Because that's when the drama really gets good. I saw the girls in the chat saying watch at 1.75, 2 times speed.
I agree.
If you gotta do that, because I feel like it's about to get better. Like, I feel like it really, really is. But we'll let you know the tea. Because they could be misleading us.
I think the structure of this show is peak drama. I think it's going to cause drama every single time. It's just, it's not always going to be interesting at the beginning.
But you know what though? It's like, I agree with that too. Sorry for cutting you off.
No,
it's not going to be interesting in the beginning because they're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
But also, like, towards the end, I kind of wish the episodes were shorter, only because they be really stretched out. So the drama moments, which is what we actually care about, they're so far and in between. It's like, okay, ooh, like this is kind of dragging at this point because I don't
They
care what
should
they're
be
talking about.
45-minute episodes because they're an hour and 15-minute episodes.
Girl, hour 15, hour and 11. And it's like, girl, Netflix, we don't need all of this
We
content.
don't.
I
It should be
promise you.
45 minutes.
I
They should
promise.
they should cut out half of those conversations, truly. And it should just be 45-minute episodes. It would be way more enjoyable. It would be way more enjoyable. But yeah, we'll be back next week, same time, honey, doing the same shit. We finna cover a bunch of shows, so get into all of the shits. We cover in Survivor Australia, Survivor US. We covered Amazing Race, bitch. We get into other shit as well. We also are currently covering the Traders and the Challenge and Drag Race. So, girl, you got some tea to watch, okay? Thank you. Bitch, it's been 2 hours. Thanks for keeping it real with the kingdom. We out. Bye, honey.